Hello, welcome to the Squarebase Show. In this exciting episode, me and Val become lore masters.
Ooh, very succinct.
Yeah. Get ready. Now, Val's video, watching this on YouTube, hello. If you listen to this podcast, hello also. Val's video is a little bit messed up. My internet seems to not have the ability to bring in full HD Val, so I will make sure I just upload a beautiful picture of him for everybody.
I paid for the H. Give me the H.
give me that full 1080p. Give me that full 1080p. So yeah,
just pee today. Just pee, everyone. Hey,
we're gonna catch up with Val very quick, see how he's doing, and then we are but weeks away. But we're not gonna preamble too much like a normal show. Most shows are the full preamble. Instead, we're gonna let you know that we're gonna be doing lore today. That's right. Story.
Are you gonna ask about my hat?
I was about to lead into the hat. I was about to say, "Hey, Captain, what's with that hat?"
Well, I like it when you call me Big Papa. Hemingway, it's a lore show. It's a lore show.
That's good.
Huh?
That's a good new bit. You should do that.
We got
more.
a bit.
Yeah, we got a bit.
I should probably never do it again. Also, did Hemingway wear a captain hat? I'm not even sure.
I don't know.
I really was upset I didn't have a turtleneck. I have no idea why I went with the nautical theme.
I thought this was like a Love Island.
Sail.
That was like a Love Island reference. I wasn't quite sure, but I was just we're about to sail into the icy water. Well, the thing is, we deep dive rules, but we sail into lore.
We skim on the surface of the lore.
So obviously we're back next week. We're going to be talking about the competitive scene and some more deep dives. We've got Val's running his first big tournament in Canada next week, which I'll also be in Canada for. We'll be recording the show before then next week, and then we'll be bringing you some sort of footage from the event as well. So that should be super exciting for all Squarebase fans and Squarebase Patreons. But for today, I thought we'd try something new, or I want to try something new. I want to try something a little bit fun with Val and see how we rock on, because this is something I've done.
Only a little bit. Only a little bit fun.
Only a little bit fun, because it's something I've done previously, and it'd be quite exciting to do, because I know, as someone who's a competitive tournament gamer, I sometimes don't really find the time to say to myself, time to read the first half of the book, time to read the front section. And as someone who is excited about the front section but doesn't get the chance, I want to talk about it.
We do tend to be back end fans, and it's good when we focus more on the front end sometimes, which is nice.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll be entering from
there are
the front.
two sides to this coin.
Yeah. So for all of our front bottom fans in the chat and who are watching, we're going to dive straight in. If that's okay with you, should we go straight into it? I think that should be good.
I just need to know if you've seen Sexy Beast and if that was a Sexy Beast reference.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you. There we go. Okay.
Ben Kingsley, one of the best performances that he ever had. Anyway, let's go.
Right, so what we're going to do, this is new. Now, what this isn't going to be is two well-read lore masters who tip of the hat, sir. Two well-read lore masters about to engage with you on the very intricacies. Instead, it's going to be two ADHD gremlins reading through. The only way I think I can get Val and me to read through the actual front ends of the book is if I just do it on stream. Okay, Let's do it. All right, page one. A bit of a picture.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the picture?
Like page one, like cover?
No, we're going to do. Look, we're going to start at the Ruinous Powers. That's where we're going to start. Okay.
Well, hold on. Why don't we at least start with who wrote it, like the authors? Never mind.
That's very good of you. Oh wait, does it not say?
Yeah, we got to move right on. We got to keep moving.
He did a bit. That was a bit. That was a bit. That was a bit. Okay.
Let's keep going. Where are we going? Ruinous Powers?
Yeah,
How are we doing this? Are we trading off? Or are we going paragraph to paragraph? What are we doing?
We're doing a page each, right? Okay. But I want questions thrown in where you're just like, right? Okay, where you want to, 0 pages before derailment. I know, we're doing really well. All right, I'm going to start out. Feel free to bring voices to the section if you want to. I'm not, because most of my voices are very cancelable, effectively.
And also, to half of our audience, you always have a voice. So...
yeah. Yeah.
You've got an English voice, maybe I'll do a voice.
I'll read it like a little governor. Who can say when chaos first cast its darkness upon the world? Only the most ancient scrolls of the High Elves, locked deep within the twisting and labyrinthine libraries of the Tower of Hoeth, dimly recall the coming of chaos. Phrasing. But even these records are incomplete, for too much knowledge has been lost to long centuries of war and hardship. Surely no war has ever reached the Tower of Hoeth, has it?
Well, I'm sure those mangy dark elves probably get in there from time to time.
Yeah, they get in. Whoa.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, this is why we're learning, okay? We're asking ourselves questions.
We're already getting shredded.
Okay,
amazing.
So I know. I can't wait for the YouTube comments.
Dark elves in the Tower of Hoeth? Are you serious?
All right, listen. If you watch this on YouTube...
I thought you were the captain.
If you watch this on YouTube or on Twitch, this is your opportunity to show us that you know more than us, right? Okay? This is your chance to leave a comment and make us feel silly. Okay.
We should have a name for the lore dorks. All right, let's go.
No, not dorks. Dorks is... No, come on.
Dorks.
Come on, Boomer.
Great name.
Right. The origins of chaos. High Elf Lore Masters... High Elf Lore Masters believe the world was once pure, orderly, and serene, and that the creatures that inhabited this land's living in harmony, governed by the rule of nature. That's honestly how, like, upper-class English people feel about the 18th century.
It's, very pastoral. Mm-hmm. That's good. So they don't know about the old ones, the elves?
They do, right, but this olden epoch was not to last, for the world would be visited by a starfaring race of unknown origin and unimaginable power. These godlike beings, the old ones, arrive from distant realms through vast portals in the heavens opened at their command. And can I just say that when I first read this page, it pissed me off.
That upset you?
Yeah, because I'd forgotten that this is actually a sci-fi setting.
Yes. Well, actually, finish the paragraph because it's really a sci-fi setting.
Okay. Your L. Ron Hubbard hat is really sending me on this. They rode in great silver ships that carry colossal arcane machines with which they would reshape the world in ways pleasing to them and hospitable to the young races they created. Now, tell me
young races.
Tell me how you feel about. Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, how do you feel about this like starship origin of the old world?
What's funny to me is that this is in fact not the origin of the old world.
What?
It already existed.
It already existed?
Right? So, yeah. Because arrived from distant realms through vast portals in the heavens that open upon their command. They rode in great silver ships that carried colossal arcane machines, which they would reshape the world in ways pleasing to them. So the world existed.
Oh, so they're alien invaders.
They're alien invaders. So we don't know. Perhaps this world indeed has rather than a than a mystical or spiritual background. Perhaps it was simply a Big Bang scenario. Maybe we are in some sort of scientific universe rather than one. But because the world exists. This is just where I guess this is where the creatures and people come from. But this isn't where the world comes from, which is something I've never picked up on before. Already making massive connections. Also very silly. Very silly. I find this. This strikes me as like the type of lore that like they wrote at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like back in the 80s. They're all doing whatever they did in the 80s.
We have said several times that in the 80s, the whole of Games Workshop were high as fuck on LSD, right?
LSD?
Or whatever they could find. It's Nottingham, so I know what they could find. It would be some like absolute cheap as fuck speed.
I was going to say, this would be I'm going to go with pills, powdered things, crushed pills, I would say. Anyway.
Well, they all hung out in the punk bars, right? So it would have been a disaster anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that alien colonizers have arrived and reshaped the land is a bit like, yo. I don't.
Okay.
I hate that. Just gonna say, but there we are. Yet behind the gleaming vessel, something else crept through these gates. Something ancient and irrevocably evil. But it was already the colonizers are already evil. They're colonizers.
Well, I mean,
they're invaders.
So like orderly and serene, and that the creatures inhabiting this lands lived in harmony, governed by the rules of nature. So governed by the rules of nature, we have like a little Garden of Eden thing going on without the peopling. So the old ones are the God character, the Old Testament-y God-like character in the form of meddling beings, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Okay. So I guess we just have a bunch of cute bunny rabbits and goats running around. Big chrome spaceships roll in. Goots.
Beast men.
Not yet. That's where the irrevocable evilness comes from. Shall we continue?
Humans can live in harmony with nature. Like they could. Maybe, probably not. Right,
but we're so hungry.
No, we are. Yeah, for any chance to expand. The interstellar portals that allowed the old ones to traverse unimaginably boundless distances in mere moments did so by passing through the alternate dimension known to them as the Aether. There, pure energy and emotion swirl constantly, fueled by the life force of mortal creatures and formed from their emotions.
Sounds pretty warpy to me.
It is pretty warpy, but I think the thing that we're really missing here is that what we're really going to talk about with the Chaos Gods is that, effectively they just need therapy. We're talking about untherapized demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're telling me that, actually, you're right. A heavy dose of CBT would just end chaos immediately.
Yeah. We just get a massive bag of weed, throw it through a portal.
Not CBD. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh.
Trigger.
Sorry.
Trigger. Emotional response. As the thing that you do, I think is roughly. I'm not a doctor. Look. Yes. So if everyone just was like, "Hey, I'm feeling very angry," or "Hey," just labeled their emotions, Corn wouldn't have a chance.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay. Within this raging maelstrom, vast and predatory consciousnesses had formed, becoming aware of the old ones' comings and goings and following them into the material universe, seeking out the mortals that gave them sustenance. So humans have feelings. Or life has feelings, or life has feelings, and then there's a dimension where all feelings are, and then some of those feelings became predatory, and then they became evil. The thing that this says to me, though, is that the ones that were predatory and the ones that became predatory and wanted to leave, there is just some really chill feelings left in the ether. Like if you go into the warp, there's just going to be happiness somewhere. Like, yo, man, I'm not getting involved in this.
All the bad shit left. Not gonna lie, this is feeling very English so far. All of the feelings are evil, and they will destroy you. You want to just squash them down.
You want to stiff up the lip, and that's how you stop chaos. Okay,
exactly.
As the ruinous powers that dwelt within the Aether grew, so too did their hunger, their greed, and their desire to feast upon the souls of mortals, until eventually they attempted to break into this rally, forcing their way through the Old One's gates. In an instant, the energies unleashed caused the gates to collapse, ripping the Old Ones from the world and unleashing the raw chaos of ether upon the mortal realm, heralding a tumultuous age that would last for 1,000 years. So a lot to take in there. So the malignant powers grew inside of the Aether, and then eventually they left because they were hungry and they wanted to eat more mortal souls, even though they were in a realm of pure feelings anyway.
Happiness.
Yeah.
Things are good.
Yeah. And then when they would burst through, the old ones just vanished.
That part's interesting to me. That the old ones just deuces, they don't, or even or maybe it's more like the Ghostbusters and they just get sucked up. as the gates collapse. I don't know if this has been discussed in better detail somewhere else. Do they run away, or are they like sucked out of the world?
Yeah,
due to maybe it's like an air pressure thing. Like the negative energy needs to like just forces them out. I don't know.
You would also assume that the Old One civilization was bigger than just like this single planet if it was like a starfaring race. Like, it's not just the one ship. All eggs in one basket seems like a mistake.
Sure. Also, question. How does this work? So the Old Ones thing.
Yeah.
How are the Old Ones referred to in?
Also the Old Ones. In 40K.
Age of Sigmar.
Oh, they're not in Age of Sigmar, because Age of Sigmar
They must be.
No, Age of Sigmar is a post-apocalypse.
I know, but this is a continuum. So, like, wouldn't the gods spawned from this, part like people who unrepressed emotionals, warpy soup? Isn't that where all the gods for Age of Sigmar get spawned from?
No, there's this whole thing with some realms and dragons. It's the whole thing, and the Old Ones don't create dragon the dragon specifically, the big one that we find. Basically, the way Age of Sigmar world was created, everyone's going to laugh at me now, is Sigmar, the very last, Sigmar as in from Old World Sigmar, clasping the very last piece of the Old World in his hand, was flung through space and time, and eventually met a dragon in space called... whatever it was called, something. And then the dragon was like, I will help you recreate these lands, and created the 8 realms and populated them. And that was the Age of Myth.
So, okay. No. This is cool. So like they kind of, that's when the Old World blows up in the future, it kind of returns to wherever the Old Ones came from. Right? Because they go into like the space-time continuum rather than a grounded world place.
No, I think so. I honestly just pictured him just being thrown through space. I'm gonna have to research that more, I think.
Interesting. Interesting.
But don't forget,
this is a continuum. Remember, guys,
that does sound dumb, and I agree. But also, this starts with space aliens. So let's all wind our necks in a little bit right now.
In chromatic spaceships, nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly.
But is it dumber than this hat? We're gonna find out.
Yeah, okay. Since the fall of the Old Ones, chaos has waged an unending war upon the world. Within the eighth of the realm of chaos, great powers vie amongst themselves for supremacy. Godlike forces of unimaginable power yearn for consciousness and hunger to become fully aware. They whisper dark secrets and foul promises into the minds of mortals, corrupting them into the service and feeding upon their emotion and vitality, dreaming of a day when they will be wholly unleashed from the prison of the aether to consume the world. Wow. What do you think?
Goodness gracious. Whew. I zoned out. But it sounds like they're getting ready to consume the world.
I zoned out. Did you say I zoned out? What the fuck?
I did, but I have been previous to that was the 3 most engaged paragraphs of lore in my Warhammer period history. Okay, and I'm a guy who's read 2/3 of Eisenhorn. Okay.
Okay, you've done well. You've done well.
I've definitely retained more than ever. This is already a massive success.
Massive success.
So don't worry. It sounds like Chaos got stuck on the Old World, the planet that we're on, and they're mad. Am I paraphrasing correctly?
No, you're nailing it, actually. You've done it really well. You're right. Those mortals that pledge themselves to these sinister beings enjoy their gifts and blessings, uncaring that through their devotion they become damned to an eternity of pain and suffering. Yet there is no shortage of souls willing to throw in. So they have souls, right? So they have an afterlife. So like damning yourself in the mortal realm gives you powers in like the mortal realm, but it damns your soul for eternity, which is honestly based on Games Workshop, because Games Workshop are all about short-term gains, long-term losses. Like this makes a lot of sense to Games Workshop people, because like a normal person would be like, okay, your eternal soul forever, 30 years of being pretty strong. most people probably not take 30 years of being really strong, because souls are confirmed real. Like it's not a myth. It's like a fact.
Like right now.
Yes, exactly.
Got him.
Exactly like right now. Yes.
Well, yeah. Actually, in general, I do find, and I'd love like a theological, like I'm surprised I haven't seen this. Maybe it does exist in 40K, but even here, because it's same but different with how things are sort of organized, and just the fact that there are multiple gods that are definitely real, right? Like
yes.
Sigmar is
definitely
100% definitely real. It has an actual.
They walk among us.
You have an impact. They walk among, like the dark gods, chaos, all that kind of stuff. I mean, in some parts will be like, no, it's not actually real. No, you don't look at those. Don't look at them dark gods. Okay, so just ignore the lightning and thunder coming from the north.
Dark gods.
But they are real. They manifest, right? Demons do walk the earth when chaos gets out of control. All that kind of stuff. I find that really fascinating, and also just like how the way like magic comes in. Because if you knew that whatever god, like not faith, but knew, because you could literally see them or see a manifestation of them, knew that your god or your deity, whatever you believed in, was manifest, was real. And then you also knew that there were other ones around. I don't, it's very like, I just, from an actual mortal individual's perspective, a human perspective, or an elf's perspective, or whatever it is, to me, it just really would change outlooks. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is hard to wrap one's brain around.
Okay, so that is us on the origins of chaos. That's us wrapped up there. I got to say, I'm going to probably always intentionally forget it started with spaceships and what sounds like Scientology. Like, it genuinely sounds like Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard stuff. That's what it sounds like if you don't know about Xanthu and the rest of Scientology, but there we go. Not quite
it
as much
also is
kidnapping.
Kind of hilarious. Well, give it time. The other thing I find interesting is that like Western history, it starts when the colonizers arrive, which is kind of funny to me. So like there would be a prehistory to the old ones. It's not actually what it starts.
That is a good point. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, there would have been something
I've never picked up. Yeah, and it doesn't even. It suggests that it's just people living in harmony. So it's like a Garden of Eden state. So like orderly and serene creatures inhabit its land, lived in harmony, governed by the rules of nature. So that means they're probably still, if it's rules of nature, they're still eating each other and stuff. So it's just that it's it's more pastoral, and then the old ones come and they they are both at their Adam, their Eve, and the apple and the snake all in one.
What about
and they burst everything into the world?
Because there's rumors that we're going to be getting halflings at some point, right? Like in the old world, is in the old world the game, like a halflings slash hobbits slash going to be pre the colonizers, pre the alien colonizers. Wouldn't
that be amazing if they were not like a human derivative, but they were just always there, just munching?
That would be rad.
Like, they're just like eating an apple, just watching like history go by. It's like,
have you got any? And they honestly, those are the guys that should have sent some of their, their fairy weed or whatever they've got and thrown that into the warp. Like maybe that's the ultimate mission of the halflings in the old world. They just got little pony carts. They're just going along all the hidden pathways. Eventually, they're just taking a giant cart of weed and throwing it in the warp. They're like, this will sort them out. This will chill them out.
It feels like there's a lot of, popular interventions that would have just prevented the end of this entire world. Again, maybe not a bad analogy for our reality.
Apparently, also from one of our lore masters in the chat, Sword and Sorcery Fantasy also featuring aliens was a fairly popular twist back in the 80s, and Elric of Melninbone, which Warhammer Fantasy Battle is massively inspired by, even featured aliens at one point. Okay, there we go. So it was on trend.
Elric of
Melninbone.
Melninbone. Cool. I've not heard. I'm again because I've despite my best efforts like absorbed a lot of 40K lore over the years, and so there's a lot of like like obvious Dune analogies and stuff, but I've never looked at like lore or like background origins of this, aside from the blatantly obvious like Tolkien-esque references, a lot of like actual human historical references and stuff. So that's cool. I've never looked at the roots of the fantasy part of it.
I think it's good. I think it's good to have it there. All right, so next page is you.
Absolutely. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say there, but it's gone. It's gone forever. Are you ready? Here we
Ready.
go. The chaos wastes at the top of the world, in the accursed lands that wallow beneath the great shattered portal between this world and the next. Raw chaos seeps from the ether into reality, corrupting and twisting everything it touches. In this shattered land, the laws of nature mean less than nothing. Under broiling skies through which the very sun follows no logical path, the land itself is torn between the reality of the physical world and the surreal impossibility of the realm of chaos.
Yeah, the edge of chaos stuff, pissing into the hurricane, like just some wild-eyed crazy shit. This is pretty common. They love this. They love the impossible to describe, the impossible to write, and then they love writing about it every time.
And yet, what also something I find interesting too is, but like the chaos wastes are a place.
Yes,
like it's not like the realm gate that the old ones pop through that you go to, or like in 40K, it's not like the warp, a third place. It's a physical place. And yet, despite this planet having, 2 suns or 2 moons, or I can't remember what it is, 2 suns? They have 2 suns. Anyway, here that's all mangled. So it's actually the mortal's perception of this physical place that is obscured by the powers of chaos and this murkiness.
Yeah, it's the portal, and then it's like the literal twisting of reality leading into the Shadowlands is the chaos wastes. And it's where the impossible happens. It's definitely like mortals will struggle, and I assume like maybe great heroes, like elven, dwarven great heroes eventually could like survive its influence, maybe, because mortals seem to be the most susceptible to this chaos infusion.
In a book I half listened to about Gotrek and Felix, they actually I think it's Demon Slayer. They like ride a thunder barge like into the chaos wastes, and that's where I fell asleep. But there's some anyway. So maybe I should read that.
Yeah.
No,
maybe you should.
But I should read the next paragraph.
Yeah,
that's what I should read. From the sundered earth, where rivers of blood flow backwards and toxic rain rises to meet the tortured skies, stunted trees shriek and writhe in torment, their leering faces twisted in agony at the touch of the acidic soil upon their trembling roots. Gargantuan mountains of dark and broken stone stretch in every direction to the horizon and beyond, their peaks surrounding the angry blackness of the realm of chaos like gigantic teeth ranged about the gaping maw of an unimaginably titanic entity.
Whoa.
Wow, what a sentence. I'm in. I am fully erect. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go, lore. Warhammer lore. Maybe this is what we need to do. We need to read it out loud.
I told you that's what you need to do. But also, and importantly, it said loads, but meant nothing.
Absolutely nothing. We got some scary mountains. We got some scary mountains. We got some spooky skies. All right.
Yeah.
Here.
But it sounds good.
Excuse me. Here are located the abodes of the champions of chaos who vie for power and fight against each other in an endless struggle to gain the favor of the gods. Many of these corrupted lords reside in impossible fortress.
I'd like to take umbrage with impossible fortress. I'm
clearly somewhat possible. It's plausible. It's a plausible fortress at the very least.
Also,
otherwise, why have the fortress at all?
Also, everything I've watched and read about historical lands, like a fortification requires quite a lot of infrastructure, like water to be supplied, food sources, armaments.
People live up here. I guess we're going to get there somewhere. Like there's human beings that exist in this land. Obviously, right?
Yeah, and how can you think about the sheer amount of labor required to build a fortress, let alone an impossible fortress, And then, like, you got to keep those laborers fed. Maybe, get them on a rotation-based system. You need a foreman. You're going to need at least pen and paper.
You're coming at this from a very chaos dwarfy perspective, which is more grounded in the needs of this labor force. Yeah. Once again, we're nearer to the gates of chaos. These could just be conjured. This could just be like it could just be someone being angry enough that these twisted rock formations appear from the ground. Perhaps they're manifested by these powers. Perhaps you need less hard labor here, like you might with the very reasonable chaos dwarves.
Which I understand, but I feel like someone needs some sort of idea, or like, I know a fortress can be basically a square, like with the walls, but, I feel like there are some, like,
what about an impossible fortress?
Made of water in a circle. Who knows?
An impossible fortress. Yeah. Right? See? Could just be. Well, exactly. Walls of water, no glass.
In the comments below, please tell us and describe your impossible fortress, please. That would be good. I took umbrage with impossible fortress. Let's go. Made of feathers and dreams.
I understand.
Perfect.
There will be much umbrage taken, I'm sure. But I'm just getting. So what we got? We got some spooky mountains. We have spooky skies, angry mountains.
Yeah.
Confusing. Unsettling fortresses. Where I was at, I believe I was
Impossible Fortress.
In impossible fortresses of twisted rock, volcanic glass, and other stranger materials.
Water, feathers.
It's very possible. It's a very the feathers one. That's definitely the Slanesh one. Within these strongholds, they fend off the endless attacks of besieging rivals behind twisted battlements of bleached bone and blood-slicked brass. Other champions roam the.
Where do they get the brass? That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, in order to, like, infrastructure is really hard. Like it requires, about the economy. It requires a lot of labor. Like, I'm sorry, long-term planning is required to erect these things.
I mean, my basic conception of chaos is just like a very big, mean silhouette with a whip, just like hitting people for no reason. Look, man, if they need some people to move some rock around or dig up some brass, which is an alloy, I'm pretty sure, so you wouldn't just have it. You'd have to have pretty advanced mining and smelting techniques, if I'm not mistaken.
And then fuel to fuel the fires of those?
I mean, come on. I mean, if we have one impression, it's that fire is easy to come by in this place.
All right, I'll take that. Fire, yeah, fine.
So what you're saying is there's some form of economy at work here that's perhaps impossible? Other champions roam the wastes at the head of great warbands, never resting in their eternal search for rivals to slaughter in battle.
That's what I'm trying to say. Because this isn't just a land. This isn't just a land where, like, you're already trying to do great, like, technological feats, for instance, smelting ore, building brass barricades, etc. Also, while you're trying to maintain your supply lines, raging bands are running around trying to murder your people. This is tough. That's what I'm going to say. I just like the idea. I love the concept.
Have we seen a map yet?
No, we're about to soon. But I do like the idea that we get a bunch of bloodletters with hammers as models. Just like a couple of bloodletters. One's on a smoking break. The other's got his sandwich. Yeah, just eating away.
No, I think, like in all things, it's just it's the stupid humans who are being, oppressed into these actions, right? Like it's because, like, these are the chaos wastes we're talking about. So, like, this is actual, like, corrupted by chaos, is awful, is perhaps divorced from laws of logic and reason, right? Because this is where, like, things are a little more pure. Interesting too that this exists even in the old world setting where chaos is not supposed to be that powerful. But in theory, you could walk here, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to, you could go from the Empire up through what we're about to learn about, the Shadowlands, into this realm of unreality, of impossibility. So, like, perhaps your critiques are better reserved for the next section, the Shadowlands, where I assume, like, the Norse and stuff live. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm just saying, in order to build, build strongholds, which it does say is in the Chaos Waste. Just as a little side note, just think about this. It took 300,000 troops and 500,000 civilian workers to build the Great Wall of China. Okay, I'm just saying that's a lot.
Yes. But it took a bunch of old one alien spaceships to build the Great Pyramids of Giza. So think about that.
I will think about that as I continue my search for Atlantis. That's correct. Yeah. Okay.
That's what we should do. Rather than call this a Warhammer lore podcast, we'll just call it a history podcast. And people who think there are weather machines will just believe us.
Also, can I say one last thing?
I will do this final paragraph.
I know you want to get on.
No, please.
I just love the idea that actually what we've got, because we've got raw, emotions leading different factions in the Chaos Waste, building things, and I'm like, are we just talking about unions? Is this an anti-union post? Is that what this is? Is this Games Workshop being like, don't unionize? It's chaotic. You don't want that.
No, I think this is very clearly ironically, even though this is the place where God or gods are most present in the world, chaos bad, the bad ones, Satan, I guess. This is the evil gods, bad dark devils. That's why those things need to be repressed. This is a story of don't let your feelings get too big. If you don't want those bad things to come out, you want to repress your emotions, which sounds about right for on the nose 1980s satire, if we're thinking of it in sort of those terms. So pure evil are actually just passionate people. That's what evil is. Evil are people who, are super into sex. They into fighting. They're kind of mangy and dirty, all those human passions left unchecked is what evil is strikes me as the thesis here. I don't know, your mileage may vary on that one. I'll do this last paragraph and then I believe you get the Shadowlands, sir.
Okay.
In the Chaos Wastes, the Ruinous Powers reign supreme, and those that dwell there do so only whilst their antics amuse them, their twisted masters. Whilst is such a I don't know if it gets. Is it just a British thing? Whilst it gets. It appears in Warhammer writing all the time. Whilst.
Whomst.
Fewer whomsts. Shall we traipse into the Shadowlands?
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, Shadowlands. So we've got the danger portal, the bad place, Chaos Waste, and then a little bit further out, the Shadowlands. North of the old world, the Shadowlands form a border between the mortal world and the Chaos Waste, creating a bleak wilderness that surrounds the ultimate darkness within. Here, beneath the towering mountain peaks and frozen glaciers, the presence of chaos looms eternally over the land. It is a place with a few of the weak inhabitants of the southern realms. That's right. And I do like this. Basically, FYI to everyone here, if you live in England, the south are full of just namby losers, right? Who couldn't do a day of work in their life. And in England, basically, you got your taps off. You're going out for a night drinking. You're just wearing a t-shirt or a vest top, even in the midwinter. So that's what we're seeing played out there. Anyway, it is a place where few of the weak inhabitants of the southern realms could endure, accustomed as they are to the many trappings of their pathetic civilizations. In brackets, London. Close brackets. So we are jumping into the map. That's what we're doing. We have had a quick technical break in this video. You can see Val's much neater now. And we're jumping into the map, and because we're talking about the Chaos Wastes and the Shadowlands. Shadowlands. In the north, you can see the Chaos Wastes clearly portrayed. And then I think these little star areas, or the 9-pointed star, whatever it is the section where the Shadowlands are meant to be. Although, side note, in our small technical break, Val has hyper-focused and tried to work out where it is, and we haven't been able to actually necessarily ascertain where it is. Even with Google.
I think in this context, the Shadowlands are just sort of like the transition, like you just said, the transitionary place between the actual realm of chaos and and the like where people can actually live and stuff. That would be my guess, because the Shadowlands is also specifically something else in other lore, which we won't get into, which my hyperfocus taught me about.
So we've covered that section. We're now going to find out about the northern tribes. Okay.
Oh, we haven't read Shadowlands yet, Robert.
Oh, have we not?
No.
Okay.
You must now. You must delve into the Shadowlands.
Okay, the Shadowlands. It was me to read, right?
Yes, sir.
North of the Old World, the Shadowlands form a border between the mortal world and the Chaos Wastes, creating a bleak wilderness that surrounds the ultimate darkness within. Here, beneath the towering mountain peaks and frozen glaciers, the presence of chaos looms eternally over the land. It's a place with a few of the weak inhabitants of the southern realms. We did cover this because we talked about English people being soft in the south. And under the shadow of chaos, the land trembles when the gods stir, causing great rifts and chasms to open, swallowing the unwary. Warpstone dust hangs in the air, carried upon the winds of magic that billow from the realm of chaos through the shattered remnants of the Old One's polar gate. Thus, the very air takes on a dark and sickly quality, mutating the great beasts that roam the barren land into new and horrifying shapes.
But what happened to the whole, like, chaos is in an ebb? Like, chaos is just sort of chilling. This sounds like a pretty roiling, active cauldron of hateful miasma. This doesn't sound to me like a nascent chaos at all.
I think the concept is that releasing, as I understand it, releasing yourself from the immaterium, the aether, requires like exponential energy, and then the further you get away from like desecrated lands, the more difficult it is to maintain that energy or even existence on the planes. So I think that's why they have the mortal servants, because they're like slowly, like as you get towards the Eye of Chaos, it's still roiling and full of power and chaos ascendant, but it's not really able to push beyond its own like realm and manifestation. It requires more destruction effectively, or more corruption as things go forward.
Emotions. We need more, basically, they need to get like TikTok in the old world to get chaos really rolling.
Yeah, they need to get rage algorithm. Yeah, rage algorithm on YouTube. That's what they need. That's good. Okay. Under the shadow of chaos, the land trembles when the gods stir. No, wait, I've done that bit.
Yet even here.
Yeah, even here, in the most inhospitable of lands, man endures. Great tribes of savage humans thrive within the Shadowlands, grown strong through hardship and vicious through necessity, for in such harsh lands there is no room for weakness. These northern barbarians are primitive and crude in their mannerisms, and they value the accoutrements of civilization not at all. Again, a description of English people describing people in the north. The south are softies, the north are barbarians. Welcome to England. Pretty rough description, right?
I mean, if that's what we're reading into it, Northman, then yes, I suppose pretty harsh view of the people in these wastes. But as you said, infrastructure hard to come by up here. Can you blame them? I mean, it would be tough.
I've watched a couple of seasons of Survivor and a couple of seasons of Outlast, right? And I'm just saying it's going to be difficult to maintain the level of protein that they need up in the north. Like, there's going to need to be consistent meat supplies. Like,
I mean, I'm getting more of a Naked and Afraid vibe from the Chaos Wastes.
Yeah,
like, this feels even beyond, like, more of a Lustria thing for Survivor and stuff. But this is a Brim.
Genuinely, I would like to, someone in the comments, if you could just do the math for me quickly. He's got to work out just like the sheer volume of meats and other requirements for like very muscled warriors of the north. I'm incredibly interested in infrastructure. This is something I didn't know until we started doing this show, right? That's
and I'll just point out that, again, we're dealing with some magic here. We're dealing with some ether. Okay, so there's a miasma that's very nourishing, and we'll give you muscles on muscles for your hilarious marauder models.
Okay, all right, yes. How long these tribes have dwelt beneath the shadow of chaos, none can say, but they are an ancient people and not without the ability to craft well-made weapons and raise stone buildings. Who does the mining? This can be attested to by the great age of their oldest and most holy temples and carven monoliths, some of which have proclaimed in the glory of the dark gods and withstood the elements since before the coming of Sigmar. Ooh.
Okay, so they kind of backtracked a bit on the civilization, and almost immediately they contradict the complete lack of accoutrement. Some accoutrement is what they're saying here, not completely devoid of accoutrement, which is good. I was concerned for them. It's probably chilly up there. You're gonna want some textiles at least, or some furs.
Yeah, I mean, they normally have got some fairly well-crafted weaponry, right? Like good armor. Like someone has to do the crafting. Someone's got to do the mining. Like there has to be some. I'm going to move on. I think people are going to be sick of me being bothered about the infrastructure. Just saying.
Well, we could just accept that they do have some form of like working economy. Maybe they're just pissed off about it all the time, which sounds like us. That's normal.
All right, you can talk to us about the northern tribes.
The northern tribes, those who dwell in the northern lands above the old world, are hardy people, typically large of frame and powerfully built, though barbarous and savage compared to those who dwell in the settled and civilized lands to the south. They are not unlike the men of the old world. Interesting. Thus, in times of peace, traders from the more southerly Norscan and Kurgan tribes can be found hawking their wares in the markets of such cosmopolitan cities as Brion, Marienburg, and Ehrengrad.
Whoa. So you're telling me that like the chaos tribes of the north are going south and trading?
So if we're looking at that map, I'm gonna wager a guess here that what we're talking about is the Norscans now are the northern folks, and the folks in the Shadowlands who are that much closer to the Chaos Wastes are sort of that one tier up. So the Norscans are a little closer to Kislev and the Empire, and so maybe they're the ones who are a little more normal-ish. They just, they've got some unusual taste and fashions.
I mean, what are they bringing that everyone in the Sutherlands is like, is that a northern barbarian? Yeah, but he might have some meats and furs.
Some good furs from like wild mutant things. I could see that.
Okay. Or maybe like pet beasts. They're like, a baby manticore for you, sir. Do you wish
mammoth
to buy?
tusk?
The tusk of a mammoth. That's a great choice. Yeah. Ice traders. That's a great shout from Rebecca. Ice. What about ice?
What is this? Frozen?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Because back in the day, it was really hard to store fruits and vegetables and meats. Infrastructure again. So they're bringing that ice down.
Infrastructure. Yes.
Bring
bring that up. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're putting it all together here. Yes. In other respects, the Northmen are a race apart, worshiping the outlandish gods of a monstrous pantheon and living lives that are altogether harsher and more primitive than a citizen of the old world could imagine. Most importantly, they live within the shadow of the realm of chaos, and as such, cannot truly escape its power. In the civilized southern lands, mutation and disfigurement are commonplace. Well, okay. In the Empire, mutant offspring are quickly abandoned, and in some states, folks showing even the slightest aberration of form are hunted down and burned at the stake by zealous witch hunters.
That's pretty rough.
But that is pretty rough. And also interesting that, like, again, chaos is able to cause mutation even in the old world, even down in the Empire, and I assume Cathay and whatever's Canada is in this world. I guess the Dark Elves. So like again, there is chaos seeping out. It's maybe oozing out, maybe not gushing out at this time.
Yeah.
Though not always apparent at first glance, most bear the mark of chaos somewhere upon their bodies. To the people of the North, these are not curses or disfigurements, but blessings bestowed upon them by the gods. Even the most horrific mutations are seen as an irrefutable indication that an individual has been marked by a god. Though whether for immortality or oblivion, it is impossible to say.
Okay, so in the North, you're more likely than not to get some sort of mutation or aberration when born. And then in the Empire, if you were to be born like that, sometimes, rarely, but sometimes, then you'd be abandoned or even put to the sword.
Mm-hmm. Or, left in the forest to be a beast person. Yeah,
that's an interesting distinction. And I wonder, where the line sits. Do you know what I mean?
What's the incidence of these Empire mutations? Perhaps there are many of them, and but they don't collect that data. We don't know. We're in the dark.
They don't collect any data. That is rough. Maybe, yeah. Infant mortality is hard. Like there's a lot of infrastructure needed to reduce those numbers.
Infant mutation, especially.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the second row?
Sure. Members of the innumerable northern tribes. Can I just read out a comment from Oostagen in the chat, if you don't mind? Just for a moment?
Yes, please.
He said, Chaos logistics have to be insane. Incredibly impressive military equipment, a population to match the Empire in an environment which isn't very friendly to agriculture. Like, yes, that's what I'm trying to get at, but I digress.
If they're roughly analogous to like Scandinavians, then trading and raiding would be a big part of how they make up for those gaps. That's what drives the Vikings out into the ocean to go rob stuff, is also a search for land, because they started to get in too big for what their land could support. So maybe that makes sense. Maybe that's what's actually driving these big wars from Chaos, is they're just running out of room up there. They gotta go find some more room.
I do like the idea, though, that like a ship full of Chaos Warriors lands, and they're like, "What are you here for?" They're like, "Genuinely, we're just here for some meat and some materials. Like, we got really busy trading going on at home. Like, we're not really here for chaos. Like, technically, yes, we're for corn, but really, we need supplies."
It all comes down to economics, Rob.
Yeah,
always does.
Always does. Members of the innumerable northern tribes tend to wear their hair long, and the men will cultivate thick masses of facial hair. I understand the need. Their skin is tough and ruddy from the fierce caress of the harsh climate and cold winds, even though they habitually protect themselves from the fury of the elements with furs cut from the backs of wolves, bears, or the nameless beasts that roam the wilderness. Upon their heavily thewed arms, they wear crude jewelry and sport tangled masses of scar tissue. Many Northmen bear grisly tokens and tattoos they believe will keep them safe from harm or attract the gaze of the gods. They are usually correct, for those who live on the threshold of the realm of chaos are right to be superstitious. Would you be superstitious if you're on the realm of chaos? Wouldn't you be...
Stitious?
Yeah, stitious. You'd just be like, it's there.
It's real, man.
Yeah. There's a baby born with an elephant's head the other day. Like, this shit's real. This is happening.
Don't gaslight me. This is that the baby has an elephant's head. I'm with you on that. There was also the thing where in the breakdown, like they did a roundtable for the lore of Warriors of Chaos when this came out, and they were talking about how they're not like directly aware that their pantheon of gods are really chaos gods. They're sort of removed. You know what I mean? So they're sort of interpreting. Their gods are sort of a step down. They're more like, like a pagan pantheon, but behind them is, the influence of chaos and stuff.
Okay.
They're not directly represented yet. They're not worshiping corn. They're worshiping things that are maybe like cornate.
Okay, I get it. So there's more of a
there's a bit of mystery,
like a connection with nature, kind of, and then through that the concept of gods delivering something. Okay. When chaos is ascendant, the innumerable marauder tribes of the north are willing to put aside their traditional rivalries and disputes. As word spreads of a coming conflict, the tribes of the Shadowlands gather about their chieftains' banners and march to war together under the command of single mighty champions of chaos, who they will follow to the distant corners of the world in the name of conquest. To the Northmen, there is no great honor than the fight and perish in the armies of the Ruinous Powers. Okay, so it's just Vikings. It's Valhalla, right? What's their gift? I think their gift is to go to they believe going to the Chaos Gods or like dying for the Chaos Gods is good, right?
Yeah, this sounds like it's a plus.
Yeah.
Again, if you're living in a miserable chaos wasteland, any out is probably a decent one, whether that's getting on a ship to go, try and steal something from somebody else, or just, straight up dying. I feel like either of those are probably better option than the day-to-day lives that these guys are living.
Yeah, that's true. Although I assume, and again, not someone who's done it myself, but I assume a good maraud is pretty fun. Leave the house, go on an adventure with your buddies, pick up some sugar because you've not had sugar before because you're going to the Southlands now. You're having a good time. I reckon that's a good old jolly.
You make a good point, Rob. You make a good point. There could be an appeal to marauding.
A certain appeal.
Maybe it's understated by us Southerners.
I just wonder, like, you know, they're on the ship, they're all singing, I assume, and then, you know, one of them's like, oh, for corn, this will be great, and the other one's like, yeah, you know, like sugar though. Have you had sugar? It's pretty good.
This is how Western civilization conquers all. It makes us fat.
Okay, should we do the next bit?
I think we should. I am chomping at the next bit. What do we got here?
Barbarian nations.
Okay, so we got nations, which means we've got a common religion, language, and probably somewhat defined border. Here we go.
Okay.
Though the marauder tribes are numerous beyond counting, they all belong to one of the greater barbarian nations. In truth, these nations are seldom recognized by the barbarians of the North. Instead, they're creations of the scholars of the Old World, classifications made up by nearsighted old scribes in dark and dusty libraries and used to make sense of the complex relationships that exist between many tribes. Well, that was pretty based.
Yeah. Whitewashing the tribesmen. Yeah. Like, whoa. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we gotta remember, we're viewing this through the lens of imperial colonialism. Here we go. The Norscans. To the immediate north of the Old World live the Norscans, fierce warriors and bold adventurers, hard-bitten and warlike. Norscans are not dissimilar to the folk of the northern provinces of the Empire in appearance, though they are generally held to be taller and stronger than their southern counterparts. Again, this is a bit counterintuitive given their likely nutritional deficits.
Thanks. I didn't want to bring it up again. I'm glad you did.
Their mountainous land is haunted by all manner of twisted beasts, notably trolls, giants, and pallid things that live under the mountains. They are warriors of the sea as well as the land, and enthusiastic traders and adventurers. Thus, the Norse sail great distances upon the world's seas, traveling in sturdily built longships, often called wolf ships, by those that fall victim to their piracy.
I'm going to say something. Norscans sound cool. Like, that's a pretty cool area to live. Either like, if Norsca's a bit too inhospitable, I'll be like a North person who sometimes travels to Norsca. But like trolls, giants, that's pretty like Lord of the Rings kind of, that's a fun time, I reckon. That's a fun part of the world to be in.
I mean, yeah, this sounds better than Shadowlands and actual straight up Chaos Waste. I'm not going to lie to you. And again, we're trolling the seas, we're adventuring, we're pillaging. Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
There's some upside here.
Yeah, you might just be one of the many laborers that they require and need. A shipbuilder. You might be a carpenter.
I'm just gonna take a guess here. Maybe they bring the laborers back with them.
You need someone who can build ships. You need the first ship, man. Otherwise, you can't.
One might call it a form of forced labor. You know what I'm saying?
No, good labor. That's what we call it in the Chaos Dwarf land. Good labor.
Amongst the largest Norscan tribes, the Sarls and Scalings, who dwell in the more temperate southerly parts of Norsca, are best known as traders and mercenaries. Tribes such as the Vargs and the Fellings and the Hastelings, who dwell further north, are more influenced by the touch of chaos. These tribes are cruel and brutal raiders whose wolf ships are feared throughout the old world.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, it's just a classic ripoff of Vikings, right? That's just all it is. It's just Vikings with wolves.
Yeah.
And also, interestingly, though, like, oh no, Ulfric's a bear god, right?
Wolf god?
Is Ulfric a bear?
Something. It's
Ursa's the bear god. So Wulfric is the wolf god. But it's interesting that these are also
wolf worshippers?
Wolf-based. Yeah, wolf worshippers.
GW loves them some wolves.
That's true.
Can't get enough of the wolves. I mean, it's who doesn't like a cool wild dog?
Yeah.
You know?
That is pretty fun. I do like the idea also that, like, although I don't know if we've ever seen it, although there was that Man of War game, I think. I like the idea that we sometimes have sea battles, and we've got like an episode of like Master and Commander that we can do also just with Vikings, though. That's pretty fun.
Oh yeah, like the whole like seaborne element of Warhammer Fantasy is like also insane. It's fun and crazy, and a complete mishmash of technology level and advancement. I find it hard to believe, actually, knowing about some of what like the Man of War ships look like. Like the dwarves roll around in iron battleships and stuff, and have submarines. Everyone else is in various versions of naval vessels. So like just rolling up on certain things with a long ship or a wolf ship, if you will, seems a little underpowered. But maybe they make up for it with their rippling earthy muscles.
I do like the idea that like everything is defeated by them just flexing. Yeah,
they're
like
so ripped. Feud muscles. Their feudness. It cannot be denied.
They sound like Gaston or Johnny Bravo. Like that's just flexing all the time.
Evil Johnny Bravo for sure.
The Kurgan. To the east of Norsca, the Shadowlands stretch from many thousands of miles to the distant ocean. This cold and barren extension of the great open steppes is home to the fierce nomadic tribes of the Kurgan. Here, the barbarous and bloodthirsty marauder tribes are themselves divided into many interwarring sub-factions. The Kurgan are a powerfully built race, quite unlike most of the old worlders in appearance. So exactly the same as the Norscans. The tribes of the Kurgan are hundreds in number, live in a nomadic existence that sees them traverse vast distances in search of prey and in the pursuit of war. And they're said to be equally at home on foot or on horseback. When the armies of chaos gather to invade the old world, it's the Kurgan that comprises the bulk, for they are numerous people compared to the other tribal nations, and they feel the call of battle in their blood. This is just Conan, right?
No, this would be your Genghis Khan or your Attila the Hun. These are your steppe nomads. So these are folks on horseback with arrows and stuff. These are your mounted warriors. They shouldn't be beefcakes as well, but yeah, that's these are a steppe people, and that's what we're echoing here. Even though we also see that in the hobgoblins as well. That's evoked. But yeah, this would be the Khans.
I was just trying to find out. Oh no, they're not called the Kurgans.
The Kurgan, if they're east of where we are, then they're setting these guys up as the Norscans that square up against the Cathayans. And in Earth world, that would be your steppe nomads.
In case you're interested, the bad guy in Conan is called Thulsa Doom. Thulsa Doom. Okay.
Also, I dismissed your idea, Rob, without having any real idea of what Conan is. Aside from a ripped dude with a sword and a fur diaper. So
there are bad guys. There are bad guys that travel.
Do they ride
around.
horses?
They ride horses too. I think it's just an atypical like sword and sorcery sort of situation where there's always a kind of evil empire marauding armies, burning settlements down constantly from that time. And maybe the bad guy in Highlander is called Kurgan. Kurgan. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, that makes sense that these are like steep people. The more southerly Kurgan tribes, such as the Dolgams and the Tokmars, are content to coexist with the Ungol tribes of Kislev that dominate the eastern steppes. Warriors of these tribes can often be found fighting alongside the Kislevites as mercenaries in the armies of Boyars when not fighting against them in the name of the Ruinous Powers. That's kind of an odd flex. Like they fight for the Ruinous Powers some days, they're mercenaries for another day. Like, how do you, like, on a genuine question, how do they?
Well, I mean, I think the Norscans and the Kurgans here are giving me like the impression of a people who, yeah, clearly they might be down with some chaotic gods or, simulacrum of chaos gods. But, maybe they're normal-ish enough that you could convince yourself that they could just be useful in a foy. You could have them as mercenaries or something like that.
Yeah.
But they also are tainted by pure evil.
Evil. Okay. It's the warriors of the northmost Kurgan tribes who are the fiercest and most likely to bear the unnatural gifts of their gods. Amongst the Gargars and Avags, nice. For example, mutations are commonplace, and those especially blessed are treated with reverence and marked for leadership, or taken in at a young age by the tribe's sorcerers and shamans to learn the arcane secrets of communing with the gods. So you've just got various flavors here. I guess our idea is that like the Norscans we're meant to see as Vikings, the Kurgan we're meant to see as Mongolian steppe people. That's the concept. Like,
I think so.
Picture that in your head, and we're not to ever discuss why those two types of people were written as barbarians.
Well, again, as that very based paragraph told us, the reason why we're even lumping all these groups together into groups is because of our bias perspective coming from the scribes of the old world. So we do have a bit of a bias built into it and identified by the author. Beautiful.
Nearsighted old scribes in dusty libraries. Those racists. Okay, after you.
All right, so let's go with within the wider barbarian nations, there exists a staggering array of smaller tribal groups. Though all worship the powers of chaos as a pantheon, many are connected through complex confederacies, allied in the names of the totemic powers they favor and united by shared traits.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Tribe of the Hound. The baying hound is Karnath, or Korn, by another name. One of the greater powers of chaos. In times of war, his strength swells to eclipse that of his rivals. Thus, it is no surprise that the tribes that follow this most bloodthirsty avatar of chaos are the most numerous. These tribes are linked by devotion to their savage deity and united by brutally simple common cause, to bring war to their enemies and pile the skulls of the fallen high in celebration of their patron's might.
So this is a smaller tribe, or there are many types of Tribe of the Hound within the different communities.
So I think what we're doing here is looks like we have 4 tribes, and each tribe worships a god that is a filtered version of a underlying chaos god, is what I'm reading here.
Okay, so this is our kind of step before understanding that they are chaos gods. So being a subscriber to the Hound is fine because hounds are cool, wolves are cool. That's a fine thing to
It's totally natural.
Totally natural, but behind it is a dark, insidious power that's stealing our soul. So in many ways, they don't know that they're necessarily fighting for the Chaos Gods. It's an unwitting allegiance.
I think that's the implication here, yes.
Right.
Yes. Tribe of the Crow. Let's see if this holds true on the next guy. The carrion crow is a grotesque god. He appears to his followers as a flightless bird, its rotting flesh hanging from its bones and its bloated belly filled with writhing maggots. This is the form of Niglin, or Nurgle, chooses...
Niglin's nice.
Niglin? It's not Nurgle, it's just Niglin.
It's just Niglin, my friend. He comes at Christmas, he delivers presents. It's Niglin.
Or maybe Naglin, or Nurgle, chooses to take when he wishes to appear to his followers, and when famine and pestilence take hold in the Shadowlands, the great carrion crow has no shortage of followers. In the frozen north, where cold winds blow and driving rains batter the earth constantly, plague is an ever-present threat. But to the members of the tribe of the Crow, this fact is not a cause for misery, but a reason for celebration. When pestilence runs rife, they know their patron's power is rising. Niglin.
So when disease strikes, the disease god gets more followers, I guess because they think he will help in some way. Or I don't see many people being joyous about thank you, sir. Thank you, Papa Niglin. You're so friendly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's odd. All right, Tribe of the Serpent. Those that follow the mighty serpent are renowned for their excess in all things.
Mm-hmm.
They indulge, second question, because I'm on the topic of Christmas. Do you think that they do have, we've got a Niglin Day? 13th of March, Niglin Day, Tribe of the Hound Day. Do you know what I mean?
Whatever those days are, the Empire definitely put their most important holidays right on top of the same days. Definitely.
That makes sense. Right, the Tribe of the Serpent. The followers of the mighty serpent are renowned for their excess in all things. They indulge in all manner of debauchery to bring themselves close to the divine presence of their dark patron, brewing hallucinogenic potions and consuming toxic plants, in an insane quest to glimpse a vision of the Aether and commune with the Dark Prince. Do you know what? That might be the best description I've seen of Slaanesh. I like the idea of people getting absolutely blotted and then just going on some vision quests, getting wrecked, going to battle high as shit. That must be super fun.
Maybe I'm naive, but I'm all Slaanesh all the way.
Oh, really?
And I feel like our culture in general is very Slaanesh-y. Yeah, it's very, it's all about indulgence and such. Can't be doing that if you got a Protestant work ethic, though.
The serpent is the form of Shornal or Sanesh. Shornal takes to commune with the followers, though they do but rarely for a few of the mortals worthy of the Dark Prince's direct attention. Yet the lure of the serpent is unmistakable and inescapable. Every year, more tribes are drawn to its worship, arrogantly believing themselves better than their kin and more deserving of the immeasurable rewards of the youngest of the Dark Gods is renowned for, bestowing upon their followers.
I got one thing.
Okay, go for it.
I got one thing. You know, the North, not known for its cold-blooded reptiles. Just saying. Where are these?
They're trading.
Where they're trading. They're trading for. Hey, y'all got any snakes?
Yeah. We're raiding down here. It's like, oh, do you want our foodstuffs? No. You got any frogs I can lick?
Look for some hallucinogenic toads and some snakes. Phallic imagery. Don't read into it. It's all right.
That's all we need. What is that? There's a really famous thing where I don't know if this is true, where when you do DMT, again, I don't know this to be true, but apparently everyone has the same trip and they all see the same like angel or something at the end of it. I do wonder if they've taken that concept, like, the sea elves or something. It's machine elves. They see machine elves or something. Yeah. So we'll have to look it up. I don't know.
I remember reading or reading about how like long distance truckers will often see they'll hallucinate a dog like running beside them.
Really?
And it's usually like an omen that something bad's about to happen or they're about to pass out and die. So yeah, if you see like a dog running beside you, you're supposed to like pull over your truck immediately and go to bed.
I am also learning that machine elves is correct, and you especially see the spice or machine elves when doing DMT if you take the toad strain, especially. So interesting. Tribe of the Serpent. Okay, that's
learning.
It's pretty fun. Tribe of the Eagle. The soaring eagle is Tika or Zinch. And he flies high above the world. His unblinking eyes see all, and he understands the desires that lurk in the hearts and minds of mortals more profoundly than any other amongst the pantheon of the Ruinous Powers. Quite how many belong to the Tribe of the Eagle, none can say, for his followers often secretive, living among larger tribal groups and congregating in secretive warrior lodges. Hidden groups that include many shamans and soothsayers. Sometimes these groups act against the will of their chieftains and leaders for further the interests of their enemies. At other times, they encourage alliances to work to strengthen new confederacies. Whatever the case, their goals are always obscure and schemes needlessly complex. So they're like the Bene Gesserit in Dune.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
These guys seem pretty cerebral for like bloodlusty barbarians, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, listen, as I've learned, being a Twitch streamer, being the smartest Twitch streamer doesn't really put you in like the smartest of academia. Like, it really depends on your group. Yeah, they're cerebral, but they're cerebral for Northern warrior idiots. Like,
okay. Well, look who's casting aspersions now. Northern warrior idiots.
Oh my God, I've been tricked by the dusty old men with their tomes.
Within 2 pages, you've already been brainwashed with the colonial mentality. Jeez Louise. Very unbast.
Oh my God, that is not bast. You're absolutely correct.
Unbelievable.
Okay. Do we think there's something behind this, though? Like, if you were to genuinely, taking that idea on board, what you just said, if you were to reread these 4, from the non-biased perspective of our colonial author, like, what do we see here? Tribe of the Hound? A group of people who are really connected with the beasts and animals who live in their kingdom or live amongst them.
Very fighty, bloodthirsty, fighty. Okay, yeah. Could be, we've seen that before. The Spartans, right? Very warrior-like culture. I don't know how many people, like you, as you called out, I don't know how many people are like, oh, thank goodness, we're all dying of plague and starvation. Let's worship that. Usually that's usually a trigger to like be like, we pissed somebody off.
Yeah,
we should worship somebody who's obviously mad at us rather than just. But maybe these guys are ahead of the curve. They just lean into it.
But maybe the idea with the Tribe of the Crow is that, like, instead of what the author says here, where they like worship the Tribe of the Crow when disease spreads, they more plead to the crow. Like when like disease happens, they plead to the crow, like, please stop the disease from spreading amongst us. Like, because we're trying to like unpick the author's like bias here. So maybe he's saying that's what they do. They're the one that brings the disease upon them, and actually maybe they're the ones trying to slow it, and just, they we'll slaughter a village of people for you if you could stop the disease running amongst our tribe.
Sure, yeah, and also this is a group of people who consider mutations blessings. So
that's true.
Perhaps they view disease and stuff like that as a further blessing. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's a cultural thing.
That's true. And Tribe of the Serpent, they're just having a great time, and the sticklers in the Empire can't handle it.
These guys are just letting it all show. Nothing phallic about the Tribe of the Serpent at all. Again, far and away my number one choice. Maybe Tribe of the Eagle. But
I think Tribe of the Serpent is just all of the people that don't like Burning Man. They're just like, hippies in the north. And then Tribe of the Eagle, that sounds like that they just hate that some of the people in the north are smart, maybe even learned, maybe even book learned. There's a jealousy of the Tribe of the Eagle, probably. They probably don't like that they don't have to adhere to very strict kind of empire-based rules around magic, and they probably do blood magic and all sorts of stuff that's probably that's taboo and not to be done. Yep,
I can buy that. I also wonder what kind of a situation is going on because if these are, again, thinly veiled versions of the chaos gods that underlie them, then I wonder, there's all kinds of other gods that are worshipped in the old world. We talked about Ulrich. There's more. I think it's Morr, the god. That's a god of death, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a bunch of others too in that pantheon. I wonder how many of them might be undergirded by perhaps chaotic taint.
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, Morr being a representative. I actually did a lot of research on Morr because one of the interesting models that came out kind of tipped its hat towards the god of death in the old world, which I thought was fun. Okay, I think we can skip this little art piece, but looks great. It's a cool little piece of art. I don't know if this is new, but there seems to be a lot of new art in these books.
Yes, I agree. Yes,
which is very cool.
And this does strike me as in sort of the new art design that they've been highlighting. But yeah, a lot of hand-drawn art. It's great. I really do love it.
Yeah. The standards of the legions of chaos proclaim the glory of the Ruinous Powers and evoke terror and woe in those who catch even a glimpse of them. Adorned with the skulls of the slain and infernal runes, the banners of the dark gods herald the inevitable coming of chaos. I mean, it's so classic, isn't it? The skulls everywhere on a chaos model. That's that has to happen.
You need more skulls. You need more skulls. Always skulls. But this is just a common fetish, I believe, whether you're a barbarian or you're in the old world. You want to spruce something up. You want to give it a little zhuzh. You're going to throw a couple skulls on there.
Yeah, I agree. Same with the helmets. The all-enclosing great helms worn by the warriors of chaos give the foot soldiers of the gods a disturbing faceless appearance. Over time, as warrior gains glory, their armor and helms become more ornate, with large horns and elaborate visors adding to their grim visage. But are the horns? The horns are part of the helmet. They're not coming from the person.
Yeah, I know. This is a good question. Is it growing, or are there craftsmen being like, you know what, you did great out there, Golgrug. Why don't we give you some fancier horns? We did some trading earlier, and we got these beautiful.
What if they do? What if the horns start growing when he's wearing the helmet? Punch out the helmet, and now he can't drink or eat again. A problem. I suppose he's sustained by the Ruinous Powers.
Also interesting, we haven't really heard anything about Chaos Warriors in any of these descriptions. Really, all we've heard about are what I guess we would assume are marauders, but actual we haven't learned much about the namesake of this army book or this journal.
It's true.
Warriors of Chaos.
Yeah, we haven't really heard much about the infrastructure of that yet. Yeah, the all-enclosing great helms. The weapon of the servants of chaos are cruel and unsubtle. Tools of war designed only to shed blood, inflict pain in honor of the Ruinous Powers, and bearing the same infernal design found upon their standards of shields, carried by the Warriors of Chaos, are heavy and broad, capable of turning aside keen swords. So the big shields. The shield, the Warrior of Chaos shield is super iconic. Super iconic.
Quite literally has icons on it.
Yeah, super iconic. And then the tribal confederacies. I wasn't expecting this. This is fun. This is very fun.
Okay, so here's some like symbolism of the totally not chaos gods, but definitely chaos gods. This is sweet.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite?
Oh, it's a great question. Oh my God. The tribe of the crow is very cool. That's very cool.
I think I gotta say, yeah, I gotta be there with you on that one.
That's fun. But I also like the tribe of the whichever the other bird was. Eagle. I can't remember. But that's very fun. And they put wolf pelts on him? That's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Members of the tribe of the Hound are brute warriors and cover themselves with wolf pelts and sigils of the baying hound. The totemic spirits whose thunderous cry heralds the great slaughter. The tribe of the serpent, by contrast, are arrogant and prideful people who embellish their attire and armaments with precious stones and polished scales. Scale warrior chaos armor would be legit cool.
Mm-hmm.
That would look very fun. And then the tribe of the carrion crow adorn themselves with motifs of death and decay. Though their shields are often cracked and rotten, they possess an unnatural sturdiness. The people of the tribe of the eagle engrave their shields and armor with runes and glyphs. The meaning of these sigils is lost to most of the tribe's practices and beliefs. I think that's one of the most fun things when you get into Warhammer is the idea of like putting glyphs and runes on shit. That is very cool if you're playing warriors, right?
Oh yeah, just to attract some evilness to you, and also somehow manage to keep those candles lit as you're walking through windswept plains. Like, that's very unnatural.
So can I tell you one of the things that I like? Space Marines as a good example. Space Marine 2 came out recently, and like when you level up your character in Space Marine 2, eventually you can get like the very good looking armor at the end where you've got like all sorts of adornments and extra bits. And then if you ever pick up a box of Space Marines, you're basically playing with like the Derek default skins, which look lame, which is pretty funny. I don't think I've ever seen people do like big kit bashes or even like 3D print parts for warriors, but that would look so good if you could get that as a shield. You know what I mean? Like if someone like designed or sculpted a serpent shield that you would do for your like Sinesh force, that would look super cool. Different shoulder pads, maybe.
Giving some ideas to SDS right here.
Yeah.
Some resin upgrade kits potentially.
Could you imagine how cool that would look? That would look cool.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And actually, that is a proud fantasy tradition. I know, like vampire counts used to be able to buy like cool like shields to go with your Blood Knights, which are that version of vampires. So yeah, you
used to be able to get different shield sets for them.
Really, Marienburg?
You'd had the Marienburg.
Oh, for the night, different knights. Like you had the Knights of the Blazing Sun.
Yeah.
You could get those guys. Yes. So it seems like a low-hanging fruit for either Games Workshop or enterprising STL manufacturers.
If only I knew some. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get into the Saga of the Chainmaker. Okay, do you know anything about this? Because I don't.
Frydaal?
Frydaal, yeah.
Frydaal Sassoon. She's the special character in the book. She's the other one is Garak. But she's the new one, and she is, I guess, a leader of marauders. So that's all I really know about her. And she actually gets down into the northern old world on a raid near where Marienburg is. But I'm sure we'll find out all about it.
Okay, I'll start us off. If that's cool with you, and then we'll move on.
Please do.
Returning from a quest for glory in the realm of chaos, Frydaal the Chainmaker seeks to wage war against the southern kingdoms of the old world. For too long, these weak-willed fools have worshipped even weaker gods in defiance of the dark majesty of chaos. But Frydaal would tolerate this brazen impudence no longer. For the glory of the Ruinous Powers, she would strike fear into the hearts of citizens of the Empire of Man and remind them of the true power of chaos. Okay, interesting. Have we seen her go into the... We're not there yet. Okay, right. The spring drivings. The clamour of ringing alarum bells, I love that that's a different word, and cries of fear floated across the water from the town of Hollum as Frydal's fleet emerged from the mist, a sound that never failed to bring a wicked smirk to her face. After a rough journey across the storm-wrecked Sea of Claws, Frydaal and her warband were eager to make landfall, for slaughter and glory awaited them on the shores of the Old World. The town of Hollum had long been a lucrative raiding ground for Frydaal, for its larders were well stocked with dried fish and its coffers filled with gold, thanks to the many trading vessels that passed through the harbour. However, Frydaal was no longer satisfied with the mortal affairs, so simple as the acquisition of food and coin. See? They do need food. They are starving.
Yeah.
Right? So for she now is burdened with a greater purpose to remind the people of the Empire the growing darkness of chaos was far closer than they realised. So this is a town that's been raided multiple times.
Yeah.
You'd move.
Would you? I mean, people still lived in Ireland and Scotland.
They didn't get raided
maybe
multiple times.
Slop a little bit.
I think they got raided a couple of times.
They got trashed quite a bit by the old Vikings. Depends on what they had.
I guess. What's the bonus of being near the coast? Fish?
What? You're telling me you get raided once and you're just getting out of there? Come on, show some gumption, Rob.
I'm not even moving there. I'm like in the middle and someone's like, do you want to go to the coast? I'm like, what's happening there? Like, sometimes you get raided, but the rest of the time really nice. I'm like, no, I'm staying here.
This actually raises a great question. Why do people ever move in the Empire? It's like, you know what? I'm going to get over to Midland, I think. I hear there's some good farming.
I reckon that they must move, right? It's like the same as like people who are like, I can't wait to buy beachfront property. And you're like, in the climate crisis? Are you insane?
Well, it's fairly topical, given the moment. But yeah, let's just say that these people are.
Okay, so we decided that people in Hollum are idiots. I think that's a fair description.
Yeah, well, I mean, like again, if we want to ground this into some geography, the people of Hollum are just at the entrance to the mouth of the river that leads to Marienburg, one of the or the Manensport Sea. And so Hollum is sort of in a place called the Wasteland of the Empire, which again, I mean, raiding from a wasteland to a wasteland, head scratcher again. I'm with you on that. But yes, this is the Westerland, which later on falls apart in the Empire, becomes Marienburg and Estland, Nordland.
Okay,
there you go. Yes.
As the fleet of warships...
Yes, this is the Westerland.
Okay. As the fleet of warships edged over ever closer to the harbour, the people of Hollum began to assemble on the dockside with whatever weapons lay close to hand, and when the alarm was sounded... Wait, the alarum and the alarm are different. We've changed. For people who are not reading the screen, it's alarum with a UM at the end, and now we're just back to alarm.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Maybe they're two different things.
Yeah, maybe. Even whilst their ship was more than a bowshot away from the docks, the stench of fear flooded Frydal's senses, and her blood pumped faster in anticipation of the slaughter that was to come. Those, honestly,
they're the same thing.
Hollumites deserve it. They're not the smartest. I'm sick of them.
I don't know why you're so mad at them for just living there,
victim blaming,
and doing their thing. They probably like good trading and fishing themselves, and most of the time they're not getting raided, Rob. This is just one of those environmental crises that they have to suffer when you live in the Westerland.
The town of Hollum has long been a lucrative raiding ground for Frydaal. I reckon that's more than once.
Like the town specifically?
Yeah. The town of Hollum. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Making some points. You're making some points. Okay.
Okay. You do.
Town of Hollum maybe get some, I don't know, walls or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like
pass a levy, get some walls. That might help.
Couple of
landfall.
Walls. Yeah, go for it.
As the wolf ships closed with the docks, the marauders were greeted by volleys of handgun and crossbow fire from the townsfolk, much of which clattered into the Northmen's broad shields or the hulls of their ships. Before the defenders had time to reload, Frydaal and her warriors leapt from their boats with weapons drawn, quickly turning the waters of the harbor red with the blood of its defenders as they stormed the docks. Frydaal led the slaughter, tossing aside the defenders as a cruel child might discard a broken toy. Her mirthless laughter echoing across the town as she shattered shields and bones alike with each swing of her enchanted flail.
Okay.
Getting a sense of the serpent out of this Frydaal. Can we decide on how we're going to say this name?
Yeah, whatever you
Frydaal,
like. Frydaal. Okay, so I'm
Frydaal.
My name's Jimmy.
Frydaal.
Yeah, I'm a young man in the town of Hollum, and the alarm bells go off.
Right out.
And someone hands me a crossbow. I pick it up and I go with all the other lads to the front of the shore. Right, I see the Vikings. I see them, and then I see all of us raise our bows, fire once.
Right.
It just clatter off armor, and I say, "Thanks, lads. It's been nice." And I run away. Yeah.
Get out of there. You're out of there. I'm hopping in a canoe. I'm going down the river. Yes, absolutely.
I'm not sticking around after that.
No.
I reckon.
Maybe why Hollum is such a good stomping grounds, because people just shoot once, run away, and then they get to take whatever's there. Maybe that's what's going on. We don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay, fine. That's true. Go for it.
With their victory secured.
Okay, can we also just, this wasn't much of a challenge.
No, basically unopposed.
Yeah, basically unopposed. Chaos Champion's a bit rich. Do you know what I mean?
This is a fishing village, man. It's a fishing village. Although it's nice of them. It's nice that they were able to use the docks. It was a nice, orderly landing. They cast their, it wasn't like a beach. You pull into the docks, the cleat off, make sure everything's good. Then they raid. That's good.
Sorry, continue.
With her victory secured, Frydaal ordered the construction of a great monument to the dark gods upon which the story of triumphs would be recorded for all to witness. Her warriors set about their task with grim purpose, hauling an enormous stone into the center of the smoldering ruins. As the shamans of Frydaal's warband began to lay foul enchantments upon the monolithic stone, inscribing it with the tales of the Chainmaker's victories and the Chaos Wastes, 8-pointed stars wrought from dark iron were raised in the surrounding countryside to honor the gods and the first of Frydaal victories in the Empire. Oof. Chaos had arrived on the shores of the old world.
I'm just saying, if the Chainmaker's victories were as noted as the acquisition of Hollum, I reckon there's a lot of smoke here and not a lot of fire. She's like, sacker of several towns. And you're like, what were the towns like? Largely undefended.
They're all Hollum.
Yeah.
They were all Hollum. It was just the one town a bunch of times. But she was referring to other conquests in the Chaos Wastes, though.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, hey, sure, Hollum doesn't seem like much, guys. No problem. Here's my CV. This is what I've done back where I'm from. I'm actually a big deal. Hollum might seem like small potatoes to you, but you better believe I'm good at raiding stuff.
Yeah. Back home. You don't know my victories. They go to another school, right?
That's right.
They live in another town. Okay. All right. I don't really believe you there, but that's fine. Okay.
Poor Hollum.
Poor Hollum. All right, the raiders return. As quickly as the marauders arrived, so too did the return. Oh, is this a thing, by the way? Sorry, I should just question this, by the way. Because you do this a lot in Total War. You take over an area, put down a monolith, and you start corrupting the land, right? This is the idea of spreading the chaos influence across the wastes.
It feels that way to me. Yeah, maybe the Kurgan. Maybe you're a suburbanite of Hollum. You're commuting into work one day and you're like, something's different around here. And you see those 8-pointed stars or whatever, and you're like, maybe these people have some good ideas.
Yeah.
And you just start shifting over to those dark gods.
Okay.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. A really well-crafted stone. Okay. The raiders return. As quickly as the marauders arrived, so too did the return of the sea, sailing back to Norsca upon the completion of Frydaal's baleful monument, leaving the town of Hollum in a ruin as a grim reminder of her brutality. Again, wasn't too difficult. Of the few townsfolk who survived the raid, fewer still chose to return to the remains of Hollum. Only the stupidest returned, I assume. Okay. Those that did would do what they could to purge the taint of chaos that had begun to spread, spending months upon end destroying the many chaotic sigils that had been raised by the marauders before their departure. Alas, no matter what they tried, the great stone monument at the center of Hollum proved immune to their efforts to topple. Interesting.
Made it out of good stuff.
Made out of really good stuff. Yeah. This is basically the following spring. Okay. Wait, how do you feel before we move on? How do you feel about them not being able to? Hey, how do you feel about them returning to try to get rid of the sigils? And how do you feel about the fact that, like, that big totem can no longer be toppled? What are your thoughts there?
I mean, first of all, T's and P's go out to the former people of Hollum. We kind of ridiculed them and failed to really take in the fact that their city would be ruined forever in this case, and not just raided again. So it seems like this is sort of a permanent disfigurement of Hollum.
Yep.
And that's not great. That's not great. If I'm from the Empire, I'd be saying, yeah, what are these things? Because also, I don't think they're very aware of chaos right now. So this is probably a little extra spooky for them.
Yeah. This is I guess so. And like, if you traveled to like a local village with the family, and you're like, oh boy, can't wait to go back to Hollum, put my feet up by the fire, and you get back, there's a giant stone covered in very questionable victories of the Chainmaker. You'd be like, whoa, time to leave, I think.
I think we should keep moseying. Yeah.
Because like, what if they come back? There's now 8 of you. There's not enough of you to. Anyway, I guess in the Empire, some of the religious people would be like, we can't let that stand. That's a desecration that we should try to resolve. Would probably be the impetus. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the next paragraph, I think, explains the plight of the poor people of Hollum.
The following spring, the townsfolk realized that efforts to rebuild their homes had been in vain, for Frydaal's fleet appeared once more upon the darkened horizon. Oh my God, I'm so mad at the people of Hollum. Far larger than it had been the previous year, scores of marauders were disgorged onto the dockside, swiftly smashing aside the meager resistance that waited them.
Maybe get rid of the docks. Maybe they should get rid of the docks. I think I'm seeing a theme here, which is just don't give it to them,
Okay, and there's Frydaal be like, don't forget, add that one as another victory. Add that one down. That's another. That's one. Stick it on. Count it. With the defenders subdued and sacrificed before Frydaal's infernal monolith, her warriors then began to restore the other monuments that had been cast down and fortified the town against any retaliatory attacks that might come from Westerland's armies. From her freshly secured foothold, Frydaal laid plans to push ever more deeply into the lands of the Empire and further spread the glory of chaos. Okay, so at this point, you would hope a single, even warband might oppose her. Because right now, we're hearing about Frydaal, this superstar, and all she's done is smash a couple of villagers, and then the beleaguered remains of the villagers with a horde twice as big the next time.
Yeah, and you got to ask, where's government in all this? What's going on, Westerland?
Yeah.
Margrietta the Fourth or whatever. She's a pretender to the throne. She's in theory the emperor. You can't throw a garrison up there. You can't get some halberds to back up your clumsy shooting militia that are defending this poor beleaguered town. It's a sadness. Or maybe the people of Hollum just didn't think to, send an email.
Yeah, I mean, just burn the dock or something.
Or just burn the dock.
Just burn the dock. All right, next bit's you.
All right, by land and sea. With yet more wolf ships sailing from Norsca to arrive in her wake, Frydaal turned her attention towards the port town of Aranau and its famed defenders, Manon's Blade.
Yes.
Wow. Cool. That's a callback. Manon's Blade, in Tamarkan, a long-standing mercenary company. Also, maybe this means we're going to see the Manon's Blade back. Though the self-appointed guardians of the wasteland were renowned for their well-kept battle dress and discipline on the parade ground, there was little else that Frydaal's shamans could tell her about the regiment. Supposedly, they had proven themselves in battle against the Cyclopean monsters that dwelt within the mist-shrouded Tumbledowns, but it would take more than baseless tales, spotless uniforms, and well-drilled formations to persuade her that these soft southern warriors posed much danger.
Let's go Manon's Blade. So Val was referencing the fact that they were first appeared in Tamrakhan, and you could buy them previously. So we might see them return.
Yeah.
That's cool.
As the bulk of her force embarked upon their ships and set sail along the coast to assault Arenau from the sea. Arenau. From the sea, a smaller force of Frydaal's most wild and dangerous followers vanished into the wooded wilderness to approach the town on foot. The objective of these savage berserkers was to assault Arenau's landlocked flanks, hoping that they could take advantage of the defenders' attention being firmly fixed on the incoming fleet rather than the surrounding wasteland.
Ooh.
As the mass of wolf ships drew into view of Arenau, the clouds darkened overhead and the roar of thunder boomed across the skies. To the defenders of Arenau, it was as if the gods themselves had come to witness the bloodshed that was about to unfold.
Hot. That's hot. That's hot. Okay, that's cool.
Fire hot.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay, we now can see that maybe she has some idea of how to assault a town that's not just 7 peasant bowmen, which is pretty good. But I'm rooting for Manon's Blades.
Also, by the way, obviously, Manon's Blades are going to be in the Empire Arcane Journal, and I need to sell the ones that I have from you immediately, like right now.
Like immediately.
Like now.
If anyone would like to buy some off Al, let us know.
Yeah. Very high inflated price before we realized that they were going to be reissued. Okay, let's go.
Okay, all right, this is pretty fun. All right, Aranu ablaze. Oh, I don't think it's going to go well in this story. Okay. With Manon's...
we know the Blades survive because they are in the future too.
They are in the future, that's true. Okay, with Manon's Blades racing to the harbour to meet the seaborne invasion and the eyes of the few defenders left atop the wall fixed upon the water, Frydaal's berserkers were able to approach the wooden palisade of the town unnoticed. They've got a palisade, though.
That's nice. Definitely learned a few things from Hollum.
It's the idiots they must be there in Aranu. Be like, yeah, Hollum got raided again. Be like, if they spilled a wall, that would be so good.
Let's build a wall and only look this way.
The Marauders quickly scaled the walls with boarding hooks taken from their wolf ships and silenced a few distracted guards who remained atop the walls. With Frydaal's warriors now in control of the gatehouse and blockading the harbour, there would be no escape for the denizens of Aranu. Having left a warband to guard the gate, the rest of the overland force began setting fires throughout the city and putting its populace to the sword. To Frydaal's surprise, the Manon's Blade proved to be more than just pretenders in fancy uniforms and fought with courage and skill worthy of admiration. It took the Chainmaker herself to finally break the deadlock between the two forces as she buckled the enemy's shield wall with a flurry of blows from her flail.
Ooh, Manon's Blades get shield wall.
Okay, that's pretty fun. The commander of Manon's Blade stepped into the breach. Oh my god, I'm so excited. With his blade in hand, shouting a challenge to Frydaal as his warriors regrouped around him. As brave as the commander's challenge was, and as skilled a swordsman as he might have been amongst his own people, he proved little match for Frydaal. That's a surprise. The Norscan, because I honestly think she's just a bullshit at this point. I think it's all lies.
Okay, look. You got to leave your bias from the previous battles with poor Hollum aside. I mean, she's done some subterfuge here. She's outflanked. She's encircled the enemy. She's also docked probably in a very orderly manner here as well. Again, mayors of the empire, if you're on a seafront, just don't have docks.
The Norscans struck her enemy down with a single devastating swing of a great gore-encrusted flail to the sound of shattering ribs and bursting innards, audible even over the din of clashing steel, as the heavyweights exposed the weakness in well-practiced swordsmanship. Uh-oh. Okay. I've got to say, though, I'm vibing for the guy of the Manon's Blades. That's fun. That's a cool... Like, could you imagine, like, building that as a diorama? Like, the docks are blazing. Well, the things are blazing in the background. The docks being invaded by Chaos Warriors off a ship. A shield wall of Manon's Blades. A couple of peasants.
The barbarians just swinging in on a grappling hook.
That would look amazing to do as a diorama, right? That would look so cool. That was fun.
Pretty sure we just won the open competition at the next Golden Demon now.
Don't even need to make it. We've won it.
Don't even need to.
Don't even need to. We're just like Frydaal. Write it down. Stick it on our list of achievements.
Oh, sticky. Death and vengeance. The resolve of Manon's blades was utterly shattered upon witnessing their commander dispatched so casually before their very eyes. Many cast down their weapons and fled toward the town, but stopped dead in their tracks at the sight of the dark smoke rising from the fires that now raged throughout the settlement. Tricky. That's a big uh-oh.
Yeah.
This moment of hesitation was all Frydaal's warriors needed to finish their grim work, and they descended upon Manon's blades like a pack of ravenous wolves, hacking them to pieces and painting the docks crimson. There were no recorded survivals of Frydaal's assault upon Arenau, for those who were not slain in the fighting were rounded up and taken back to Hollum, where they were sacrificed at the foot of Frydaал's great monolith in honor of the Ruinous Powers.
Honestly, I thought that they were going to just take him back and just be like, you're the Hollum town now, just like restart the town, and then they were going to raid it again for another victory on the list.
We needed someone to beat up on. Also, this begs the question, how do Manon's blades come back? That's interesting, because they have been eradicated here.
Yeah, they have. Maybe, but it said some, like, they think all of them died, but maybe not all of them. Maybe there's a ragtag bunch that make it.
Finished their grim work, and they descended upon Manon's blades like a pack of ravenous wolves, hacking them to pieces and painting the docks crimson.
Yeah, but it said there were no recorded survivors.
All right.
So I reckon that there's going to be a sneaky group.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Word reached Empress Magritta of the Marauders ravaging the coastlines of... Finally?
Yeah.
How long is... It's been over a year since Hollum first fell. Jeez, Magritta, get in. Get your head in the game.
She doesn't even like Hollum. That's what I think.
Probably not. I mean, it's got very glottal... You know,
it is.
A bunch of fishermen, really. Following the sacking of Arenau, and the coastlines of Western, following the sacking of Arenau, and she knew it would not be long before the news traveled throughout the other provinces of the empire. In an effort to prevent her political rivals from seizing upon the turmoil to set their own plans and schemes in motion, the Empress flung open the vast treasury of Marienburg and ordered the creation of a mercenary army to drive the raiders back into the sea.
Oh, that's cool.
Nope. However, with winter fast approaching, Magritta knew that the Norscans would soon retreat back to their wolf ships, so she ordered her mercenaries to assemble at Marienburg. Throughout the winter, they would be kept well fed and train alongside one another, ensuring their readiness to meet the returning Norscans in battle come next spring.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so we're set up for a big battle now.
With Marienburger mercenaries?
Yeah, that have been well fed and trained through an entire winter. These guys are...
Keep emphasis on well fed, but probably still not as well fed as those barbarians, because they are...
Important to note that they did understand infrastructure here. They're like, it's winter. You can't do war in winter. So you've got to feed the populace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you're dealing with food opponents.
If only Napoleon worked that out. So
yes, you want to maybe just chill a little bit in the wintertime. Yeah.
The taint of chaos.
Taint.
Ordinarily, raiders from Norsca and the Coast Waste would return to their homelands in time for winter, allowing them to avoid the storms that ravage the sea claws and ensure their stores were well stocked for the coming season. However,
but what about Magritta's plan, Rob?
I know. What about her? However, due to the foothold they had secured in the ruins of Hollum and the surrounding lands, Frydaal and the vast majority of warriors chose to remain within the old world during the winter months to ensure they could start their assaults as soon as spring came. Those amongst the warband who did sail for the home were charged with spreading word of Frydaal's victories. Embarrassing. And amassing more warriors to join her campaign of conquest. Frydaal was surprised that her actions had seen no response from the armies of the Empire, and she knew it would not be long before a force was assembled to meet her in battle. Not wishing to be caught flat-footed, she dispatched scouts to keep watch on the North Road, ensuring that word of any approaching force would reach her plenty of time to prepare for battle. Okay, that's sensible. However, it seemed that the commanders from Marienburg had similar thoughts, as Frydaal's scouts were played by road wardens and outriders armed with black powder weapons as they traversed the North Road. Unable to press any further south than the town of Lonen, Frydaal's scouts withdrew from the road and secluded themselves within the surrounding forest, where they kept a vigilant watch for any further signs of the southern forces. Okay, all right.
Pretty clever. Got to get off the road. Getting shot on the road. Let's go into the forest. I wonder who they might encounter in the forest.
Oh, shit. Look how good this is. There's a map.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Dad's Army style map. This is amazing.
It's super dope, actually. It's a great map.
That's actually super cool. Oh, my God. I love that. Okay, so where was Hollum? All right, Hollum was there. All right, nice. Fort Solis, Aranu. Okay.
We haven't even learned about Hagendorf.
No, we've known nothing of Hagendorf or Diva. Okay. Do you want to read about the Battle of Hollum?
I would, because we've already read about, by my count, 2 battles of Hollum so far. So this is the Battle of Hollum. Here we go.
A bit rich, but yeah.
Well, I suspect we might see some Marienburger mercenaries.
Okay.
Marienburger mercenaries. As winter gave way to spring, Frydaal chose to... I keep screwing up on that word. Frydaal chose to wait within Hollum for the return of the warriors whom she had sent back to Norsca before marching her army south. With her numbers bolstered by the returning forces and with any additional warriors they had rallied to her banner, Frydaal would set her sights upon the great coastal metropolis of Marienburg. And just so you know, Rob, I don't know if you're familiar, but Marienburg is my favorite.
I do know that. That's why you're wearing that hat.
Mm-hmm. It's a tip of the cap to their nautical heritage, you see.
Yeah.
However, fair weather warmed the lands of the old world far sooner than it did the lands of Norsca or the perilous Sea of Claws. Barely had winter loosened its icy grip upon the land before Frydaal's scouts returned to her with warning of an army advancing along the North Road with no sign of her fleet on the horizon. Rather than sit and wait for her fate to be determined for her, Frydaal ordered a number of her warriors back to their ships where they would sail down the nearby river Arenau. Following the river deep inland would allow them to circle behind the approaching army and follow their advance up the North Road, placing them in perfect position to ravage any missile emplacements and artillery positions the Empire forces might establish. For the next few days, as the Westerland army edged ever closer, Frydaal communed with the dark gods at the foot of the monolith she had constructed in their honor. Though through prayer and sacrifice, the champion of chaos beseeched her dark patrons to give her the strength she needed to shatter those who would stand against her.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I like the idea of like a penitent chaos warrior. Waiting, worshipping, like securing the power, not just like blood-soaked and ravaged, but like, aware of the concept of the battle and then praying before it. It kind of gives you like Orlando Bloom vibes in what is that movie Ridley Scott did with the Crusades?
Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah, it gives you those kind of vibes, but like evil. Although obviously, arguably, they were evil. It's different strokes, different folks.
Now, depends on who's writing the history here.
It does.
What's actually kind of neat, as this is my first lore read experience of an Arcane Journal, is that flows directly into a
map,
and then
the runes. A bit. I don't know. The ruins of Hollum. I don't know. Oh, a mission.
It's a mission. Yeah, it goes right into a scenario. Now you get to fight. You get to fight and find out what happens.
Whoever wants to be... Oh, wait. So you are the attacking Marienburg kind of mercenary army up against Frydahl's monument and the Defender's deployment zone. That's fun. I feel like it should have been called Arcane Journal Hollum, though.
It is as much scorn as you have for Hollum. It is the center point or the featured scenario here, which is pretty cool.
Let's look at the scenario. You and me know stuff. Let's look at, we know how games work. Okay, so there's the map. The attacker should write a single 2,500 point muster list using the Empire of Man Grand Muster army, and then defender is 2,500 points as well, using a Wolves of the Sea army of infamy, and the general must be Frydaal the Chainmaker. Monuments to glory. As the aspiring champion progresses up the path of glory, they erect monuments that mark both the rise and the power to honor the gods, be they stone or monoliths. Oh, hurry up. Okay, so the monument, it was just describing what the Frydaal's monument is. Just use the Beast of Chaos thing. Setup, place terrain is described. Frydaal's monument, special feature measuring up to 6 inches at its widest point. Frydaal's monument counts as both an arcane monolith and a monument of glory.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
It just gives that army some benefits for sure.
That's true. The defender deploys the army in the defender's deployment zone. Once complete, the attacker deploys their entire army, so you deploy your entire army. In this scenario, the attacker will always take the first turn. It's until one side concedes. And then characters in the defender's army may re-roll the d6 when rolling the Guise of the Gods table, which is a 5-point upgrade. And then reinforcements, any units in the attacker's army with the ambusher special rule must enter the battlefield via the southern table edge. Okay, so you can't. You can't just like randomly ambush. Once the battle has ended, use victory points to determine which player has won. Oh, that's it. It's just a very normal battle with some stipulations.
Well, no, the deployment is pretty wild. So like you have basically, because the Wolves of the Sea have all the ambushing mechanics, it gives them 6 inches on all sides of the attacker's deployment. So it is kind of neat that way. And then also, how much space would be between the armies? Not that much.
Yeah, I mean, you would be the Wolves of the Sea would be ambushing behind the attacker's deployment, right? Because the Wolves of the Sea are the defenders.
Yes,
they're defending Hollum.
They are.
Okay, that could be fun. I think.
I thought we would. I was thinking that because they have a lot of references to Beastmen. I was thinking that there was going to be her when they dip into the forest, that they were going to make pals with Beastmen, but that didn't come up.
No, it didn't come up. Especially when they have released skin wolves for this release. You would have thought we would have seen like some skin wolves thrown into the forest or something similar.
Instead, man and blades were featured heavily.
It's an odd choice, actually. Like very little. In fact, actually, I would just say that there was almost no description of the forces of chaos in that battle at all.
Yeah. Aside from Frydaal herself, and I guess what we're to assume are chaos. Well, berserkers were mentioned. Chaos marauders themselves were mentioned. But aside from that, none of the other units that were in here actually given much background, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, like not even the chosen warrior unit that she has along with her were given a name, or like a mage maybe that she brought with her or something. Like absolutely no description. Like we heavily focused on Hollum. Not all that, like I know they had bows. Sorry, they had crossbows. I don't know what the berserkers brought with them.
Shall we scroll down maybe and just read Frydaal's actual page? Because then maybe we get a little backstory on her.
Sure.
Or do we?
Sure, we can read her page. I'm super keen with that. Let me go find her page, and then we can carry on with that.
36 in your book.
Frydaal the Chainmaker. Okay. Even before she struck a deal with the Chaos Gods, Frydaal had plunged the coast of the Empire, Bretonnia, and Kislev for many years. Those who were left in the wake of those brutal raids would do their best to salvage what remained, rebuilding burned down homes. This is odd that this page, by the way, is much later than the story of Frydaal the Chainmaker.
No, this is leading up to it, I think.
Is this PDF in the wrong order? No, because if this is the right order, it's like page 34 for Frydaal the Chainmaker, and for the story of Hollum that we all very much enjoyed.
Yes. Very
much so. The Saga of the Chainmaker is page, it's cut off, so it doesn't say, 14. So you hear about the raid of Frydaal before you ever learn anything about her in the order of this book. That's odd.
Lacked a little bit of context for sure. Yeah,
like a lot of context.
So perhaps had we read this first, you wouldn't have been so scornful in her achievements. Perhaps we're about to learn of why she is so good at making them chains.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Even before she struck a deal with the Chaos Gods, Frydaal had plagued the coast of the Empire, Bretonnia, and Kislev for years. Those who were left in the wake of these brutal raids would do their best to salvage what remained, rebuilding burned down homes and working tirelessly to replenish food stores, all while praying fervently to whatever gods they believed in that she would not return the following year. Okay. In battle... Go on.
So this is just a regular brutal battle babe swinging probably a generic flail, not imbued by the powers of chaos. Still a pretty badass raider is what is being said to me here.
Yes. In battle, Frydaal was cruel and vicious fighter, swinging her flail in savage arcs in order to maim and cripple her foes rather than slay them outright. Even as her injured enemies lay helpless, crying in pain, Frydaal would swiftly move on to find fresh victims, leaving a trail of broken warriors in her wake. In the aftermath of the battle, she would allow many of the wounded survivors to flee, knowing they would drag themselves to nearby towns to tell of her barbaric cruelty and sow fear of her return. Thus, as winter turned to spring in the year of 2264, the residents of the towns that clung to the shores of the sea, of course, fearfully awaited the arrival of Frydaal and her raiders, yet they never came. Unbeknownst to the fishermen and sailors cowering in their hovels, Frydaal had taken her steps on the path to glory and journeyed north in the company of her fiercest champions. Okay, so like you said, she's just a badass mortal raider, and then
she's like, there's more than this. There's more to this.
Yeah, having defeated several fishing villages with 0 armies, she thought,
right?
Maybe I need a challenge.
Maybe I got something going on here. I could use a little extra juice. It is unknown what compelled Frydaal to undertake her pilgrimage to the realm of chaos and pledge herself to the dark gods.
Well, we all feel that. Sorry, I don't want to jump in, but I'm just saying we all feel that. You get far enough into your career, you say, what's next?
Like, you got to level it up.
Yeah, you got to level up. That's all it is. Yeah.
I mean, I can't just go beat up Hollum again. I gotta jazz up destroying Hollum.
Yeah, I gotta get cooler at this.
Pledge yourself to the dark gods. But for several years, she campaigned in the Shadowlands, piling glory upon her name and drawing ever more followers to her banner. Powerfully built from a lifetime at sea and ferocious beyond reckoning, Frydaal quickly drew the gaze of the gods. With each bloody victory won in the eternal battlefields at the top of the world, her warband grew and ever more profane gifts were bestowed upon her. Her strength increased until a single blow from her flail could shatter shields into splintered firewood, and great dark horns sprouted from her forehead to sit atop her skull like an infernal crown.
Okay.
Eventually, Frydaal led her followers back to Norsca, where she wasted no time in ousting several Norscan chieftains and subjugating their tribes. With an army of marauders at her back, Frydaal continued to carve a bloody swath up and down the coasts of the empire after striking her pact with the Ruinous Powers, sacking affluent coastal towns and prosperous ports without mercy or hesitation. Each year, her fleet grew in size as more aspirants upon the path to glory joined her warband to fight by her side. Though the locations of Frydahl's raids had not changed, save for delving further inland, the desire for resources and riches was now their secondary objective. Instead, they focused on the capture of prisoners and the destruction of those who would stand against the coming tide of chaos.
Okay, all right.
But she got religion, She got religion. She was all into the materialism and the stealing of stuff, and she found that good old timey religion and really, got her love for raiding back. Is what I see here.
Yeah, that's what happened. She was, you're right. She was falling out of love with the concept of raiding. She's like, who am I? What am I? Where am I going with my life? I'm not building a family. I'm not, I'm a career woman through and through. That's true. But
absolutely committed.
Yeah, I really feel like I really need to like find my inner self with my job. And then, she got profane gifts bestowed on her. So she got stronger and beefier, and she got great big dark horns because they haven't released a model yet for Frydaal.
Apparently it's cool. JTY said that it's really cool in one of the roundtables. There's one final bit, because hilariously, we have been talking for hours about the lore of the Warriors of Chaos, Arcane Journal, and not one mention of a Warrior of Chaos yet has been made. Can we just at least read the Heralds of Darkness section, like just the preamble to that their Army of Infamy, and just see if there's some interest here for the people who actually like Warriors of Chaos?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not skipping around. I don't think the only thing that we would be missing is if we would read about. Should we just finish off the Wolves of the Sea section?
Sure,
because I think then that ties a knot on all of the Frydaal Wolves of the Sea. Yeah, that ties it up. Okay. Wolves of the Sea. The barbarian fleets. When the spring raids begin, fleets of wolf ships disgorge warbands of fierce barbarians onto the shores of the old world. The coastlines of Kislev, Westerland, Osterland are the ones who feel the wrath of the Norscan raiders most keenly, but even the outposts of the Lothan Sea Guard and coastal force of Bretonia have done battle with the Northmen. When the wolves of the sea have chosen a settlement to raid, they will land a portion of their strength further up the coastline before launching their assault. As the settlement's defenders focus their attention on the water, these ambushing warriors launch their own attack from the unexpected flank, throwing their defenders in total disarray. Oh, this is a strategy. This is an army-wide strategy.
Uncounterable.
Wow. I'm just saying this isn't Frydaal's unique strategy. She wasn't like, this is that.
We all stand on the shoulders of those that come before us, Rob.
You're so right.
You're expecting a lot from Frydaal, okay? And I think we're establishing that she does have some bona fides, okay?
Okay, I'm not disagreeing. Taking command of such violent and dangerous folk does not happen through eloquent debate or clever politicking, but through a single combat and prowess in battle. Mighty chieftains or aspiring champions vie constantly for power, challenging one another to all manner of martial contests, which almost always result in only one of the combatants walking away. As the influence of the dark gods has spread across Norsca, the reward for victory in these duels has become ever more valuable, for not only can a challenger take command of the tribal warriors, but also earn the attention of the Ruinous Powers themselves. So even if you are the chieftain, you're constantly battling to maintain your position as the chieftain.
A true meritocracy.
Finally. Like, no kings and queens with their hereditary titles and their flouncy southern ways. We finally have an actual meritocracy.
How much face can you smash? Yes. Shadow of Chaos. With the power of chaos rising in the north and the influence of the Ruinous Powers spreading amongst the Norscans through the influence of mighty champions, the gifts of the gods have become more commonplace. Into each generation, babes born with fang-like teeth, additional appendages, and horns of various shapes and sizes become ever more common. But it is not just the raiders that have changed with the growing power of chaos. Their incursions have become more violent and destructive with each passing year. The marauders continue to lay waste to coastal towns and their inhabitants, bellowing unholy oaths of death and doom as they slaughter and burn their way across the countryside. Yowza. As the number of raids increases, those who dwell in coastal towns grow ever more fearful of the approaching danger, resulting in many moving away from their homes. There you go, Rob.
Finally.
In hope of finding a quieter life further inland. Those who remain make efforts to fortify their settlements, building tall palisades and watchtowers in vain attempts to dissuade the marauders from returning. Yet, return they do. The newly crafted fortifications proving to be of little hindrance to the battle-hardened Norscans who crash through the defenses as easily as the storm might shatter the hull of a ship.
Like, try harder. Build bigger walls. Like,
call for help. Let someone know. Ask an adult. All kinds of stranger danger. Especially when they're just rolling up. Burn your docks. Get rid of the docks. We've said this.
The docks are a bad choice. I really think that. Like,
definitely a bad problem.
And also, like, why are you crafting docks? Like, I get it's for your village to go out, but like, how big a ship is like landing in your coastal town? You barely can survive. So, anyway, I'm a little bit upset with that. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. Okay, fine. These are the shadows of chaos. It sounds also pretty rough. Lots of the kids being born with horns. That's not fun.
Again, not to them. I wouldn't be judgy about it.
Good point.
To them.
Good point.
It is nothing but a blessing.
You're correct.
We have 4 paragraphs that remain in which potentially Warriors of Chaos may be mentioned.
Though the Marauder tribes forgo heavy armor, nope, this is not them. In order to strike,
we're doing these. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll move down. Is there any more paragraphs? No.
Well, these are the annotations to these lovely illustrations of what Marauders.
We can skip this. What is the next page where it's got actual info?
That would be the past the Wolves of the Sea special rules down to the Heralds of Darkness.
Oh, wait, is it? And this is the last bit of the lore in the whole book.
Yeah, well, aside from the little sidebars that accompany the unit entries, yeah.
Well, there aren't like pages on Galrak and like where he was formed and...
Galrak gets a sidebar as far as I can tell.
That is, I feel this is thievery, I'm going to say. Okay, the Heralds of Darkness, okay. At the top of the world where the great tundra of the frigid north meets the realm of chaos, roving bands of armored horsemen thunder across the frozen earth in search of worthy foes to slaughter in the name of the dark gods. As the influence of the Ruinous Powers grows, these mighty hosts migrate further south and engage in epic battles with the denizens of the old world and the gallant warriors of Grand Cathay. Do you want to read the next bit?
Shoot. Yes, I do. Trying to find it.
The path to glory.
The path to glory. Those who wish to prove themselves in the eyes of the gods will feel the pull of the path to glory, embarking upon a long and perilous journey towards the fallen gateway at the summit of the world. These champions in the making will gather about themselves warbands of like-minded followers and carve a bloody swath across the world, seeking out worthy enemies and doing battle with the followers of rival chaos warlords. Chief amongst the followers of these aspiring champions are the Knights of Chaos, heavy cavalry renowned the world over for their prowess on the battlefield, their murderous skill matched only by their malice and cruelty.
Finally.
Yeah. Veteran commanders of the old world's armies have done battle against all manner of unholy and abhorrent dangers. They have fought shambling legions of undead from far-off lands and defeated rampaging hordes of orcs and goblins, meeting these incursions with brave determination and steel in hand. But even these courageous souls feel the cold chill of terror run down their spine at the sight of a regiment of Chaos Knights galloping towards them through the fog. When a great number of these ironclad warriors gather together, united under the banner of a powerful Chaos champion, it takes a commander of either incredible bravery or immense foolishness to stand their ground.
Do you know that animal husbandry and also horse care, etc., requires a lot of infrastructure? I don't know if I've pointed that out yet.
Or evil magic, Rob. I think that's my answer to everything. Evil magic carries you a long way.
Okay, all right. We didn't learn loads there, apart from that there's some dudes who fight. Okay. The mailed fist of chaos. Even the Empire's knightly orders and chivalrous knights of Bretonnia pale in comparison to the twisted majesty of the Knights of Chaos. Riding to war atop monstrous chaos steeds, these elite warriors carry wicked lances designed to impale and tear or clutch, and serrated blades and crushing maces in mailed fists. Weapons crafted to inflict as much pain and suffering as possible upon impact. Clad in thick suits of demon-forged armor, even the most telling blows leave little more than dents and scratches as the knights ride down those who would stand against the growing might of chaos. It's not just these armored butchers that accompany the champions of chaos on the path to glory. Mortal horsemen from the Marauder tribes flock to these warbands. We can't forget those. Worshipping these champions as demigods as they ascend towards demonhood, hoping they too might earn the chance to prove they can faithfully serve the Ruinous Powers. Joining these fanatical warriors are many monstrous beasts in the service of the dark gods, who we will not describe in any detail. Chaos touch giants, feral chimera, and massive spawn race alongside them, but just leave that up to your imagination where they came from. And the mounted host as it close with the enemy. Their savagery and instinctual desire for slaughter matched by their mortal warriors they fight alongside. I feel robbed. Is how.
Well, you are robbed.
Thank you. But I feel like, because knowing that everything else is sidebar lore, and if you don't know what we mean by sidebar lore, so if we look on the page for Galrak the Great Drake, there's a half paragraph here describing what they do in the little sidebar. But I'm a little disappointed, if I'm honest with you.
Well, I mean, I am coming at this from a place of ignorance because much like basically every other word of lore so far written for the old world and published, I have not read it aside from this.
We've done it though. Just so
we did it. We got through. That was actually fun. I had a great time. I would be curious actually to maybe go back to the rule book, because the Grand Army would have in Ravening Hordes would probably have some preamble to it. I think it's got a couple of pages at least, which would give a vibe to the forces of chaos and where they're at. So I'd be curious to read about that. And then also the big rule book itself might give more of a wider meta view of what the Warriors of Chaos are all about. And so these books kind of zoom us into a very specific moment in time, is my guess. And we maybe the reason why this feels a little wanting is perhaps because we've skipped the other places where they've told us about it.
Or maybe, but for instance, Warfire Dragons are in here, and they do have a small paragraph about them in this section. I guess maybe I'd just be looking for a little bit more than just sidebar info, especially to accompany these releases, like Galrak with a couple of pages on where he's come from, where he's going. It would be pretty cool.
Why he's appeared?
Yeah,
why Galrak?
Yeah, Warfire Dragons, Skin Wolves. There's quite a lot in this release. Giant Chaos Spawn. There's quite a lot in this release that we haven't seen previously, so they definitely won't have been written about in the core book. Oh, I don't think so anyway. And I just feel a little bit like, I don't think you've done a great job. Like, we haven't even got like Galrak and a scenario for Galrak.
Yeah, that is something that's interesting. Like, considering that only one of the 2 Armies of Infamy feature what most of this lore is about, it does beg the question, well, why is Galrak showing up? Why are Warpfire Dragons being emphasized? What's the deal with Skin Wolves? So yeah, I agree. It feels like this is unfinished. Maybe we see more of that because I think, again, I'm ignorant, I think they do pair. So I suspect we'll see maybe some of those things filled in by the Empire Army of Infamy. Maybe the featured battle and narrative in that will be about Galrak and his Warpfire Dragons and like the Heralds of Darkness.
Or maybe.
I'm guessing.
I don't see that. I mean, most of the stuff I learned in this book was about Manon's Blades, which is an Empire unit, which I think is a little bit silly. Overall, did you get is there any takeaways or anything new that you learned, or anything that you were like, yeah, this is my vibe?
What I think is super cool is them really fleshing out Norscans and the idea of them as being these raiding Vikings. I like that there are, again, more like the Khanate Kurgans, the sort of the roaming steppe people types. I like that a lot. I don't know. This was fun. And actually, honestly, I had fun with that story. I think because it was so specific and narrow in what it was doing, it actually really did lead you strongly into that narrative battle that was featured there. It made me think like, oh, cool. This would be neat to do. And also what happens, right? So that feeds into like a very strong Warhammer tradition of you give a setting and you give a premise, and then, the players decide what actually happens. So that's kind of cool.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you definitely about that element. I think that was quite fun. I think I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more focus, especially on some main characters that have been released, and a little bit more. So I do feel I really enjoyed where we were, but I was like, there's no way we're going to finish this today. It's not possible. It should be we've barely read about Galrak. We've not read anything about warriors. I can't believe it. And then and it's all about marauders as well. And I know the old world has got some derpy models, but my God, are they derpy? Also, sorry.
I would also assume that this was written with the Dark Oath models in mind.
Well, interestingly, the Warcry warbands that they originally released for Warcry,
right?
They have all of those the warrior, but they have a serpent tribe warriors. They have the crow tribe warriors. So they definitely have looked at the Age of Sigmar models and have written them in here as part of the story. And I think that's kind of interesting, because when was that written and then been oh, by the way, you're not allowed our toys sort of section in time.
Yeah.
And then they were discontinued by the studio. So it's always hey, we wrote this. Those are the perfect models for you to buy for this. Also, main studio stopped selling them. That's very funny.
It's all very silly. It's that part of it is very, very silly. And I wonder too, if we look at the lore in detail with that hat on, of a lot of the work was probably done before you can't play with these toys. The split happened. And it was all based on old models, which also, so I don't know. It definitely happened pretty late in the game, as far as I can tell. So I'll be curious to see
funny.
What else. Yes.
Now that I've read this, I'm like, holy. And if you don't know what we're talking about, there's a war between main studio and SDS. SDS do old world, main studio do AOS and 40k. And there are some models that you could use, and they literally have stopped making them for no real reason that anyone can work out, because they're wicked models. But I think we've just worked out why.
Or maybe we see them repurposed later and as part of an old world release. This does provide, I'm curious to see what happens to old Frydaal in her mission of destruction. I assume she is victorious in Hollum, but we don't know that.
Oh yeah, wait, does it not tell us what happens in the book?
No, you got to fight the scenario, bud.
Okay, all right.
Well, actually, here in the scenario, does it give a what the historical result is, or does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay, all right. Well, listen. Let us know. Let us know in the comments below what you think about this. Obviously, I think going into this, I thought there would be a little bit more. I think this was fun, like a small snapshot. But I definitely feel like I didn't learn as much as I wanted about the Warriors of Chaos from this book. And I would hope in the future there's more, and there's like more kind of, you know, me and Val have attested many times that Tamra Khan is kind of the perfect, like, here's a tome, go crazy, have fun. And this isn't that. So yeah, let us know what you think, what your thoughts were. If you read it, what did you think of, you know, the kind of the context and how much you learned from it? And what about you, Val? Engaging in some old world lore, how do you feel about it? From spaceships to Hollum.
From spaceships to Hollum. Yeah, that is true. They did start really far. They started all the way at the beginning. That is interesting. I'm really curious to go just have a quick peek at the army, the Ravaging Hordes preamble, because I know there's at least 3 or 4 pages before you get to the Grand Army stuff. And then there is also for every unit entry a sidebar that also gives more context. But yeah, so like there is a lot of lore sprinkled about, but it's not like super deep in depth. And I also bet the first third of the Big Blue book is probably lore related. I'd be curious to go have a peek at that too someday.
Yeah,
so let us know. Did you guys enjoy our Two Dummies read lore episode? That'd be a great bit of feedback. I think I already know that I need to use a more even tone of voice when reading instead of being silly all the time. That probably got annoying. So apologies. We're learning.
I'm not using a more even tone ever. I'm doing it all like this. Skin wolves, my lord, in the wild frontiers beyond the borders of civilized realms.
So yeah, this was great. I had a lot of fun. I think we could definitely fill a lot of episodes doing this while we await what's probably coming to us in January.
Yeah, let us know if you do want to do that, because I think what would be good for both me and Val as well is I think getting some sort of context for some of the stuff is really fun. And I enjoyed this, and it was me who forced Val into this. So I hope you guys at home. I know this isn't like competitive old world, but this is, I think, something that helps us be better all-round hobbyists, and I think that's really important for us as creators on the internet. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for being part of the team. I'm going to end the show. There we go. See you soon. Bye.